Brother Waka,
Brother Vibes, what's happening?
how's it going, brother?
I'm good, man. How you going?
I'm hanging. You know,
Hey, what happened the other day?
what day?
Maybe was it yesterday or
Yesterday, you weren't. I don't think you were here yesterday. Yesterday was we were having the Arabism in Africa talk. Were you?
oh, that was it. There was some heated guys there.
Oh, yeah. The day I think I saw. I gotta go. I gotta go watch the live again because I was out. I was out of it. I passed out.
I know.
I gotta go listen
And
to it again. Was it pretty interesting or what?
oh,
Or was
well,
it all mayhem? Was it?
it was a bit of mayhem. See that. While I was talking, like how you introduced me to have my chat, right?
Right.
And then Mansa came over the top and took over.
Oh, Mansa. I already know. Yeah, I can already imagine. Mansa is too much sometimes, you know? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did he go off on you?
Oh, most definitely started calling me a kangaroo
Oh. Oh
humper.
my God.
I'm
I,
Australian. He
oh
just made up
my
all this crap,
God.
and then I
I'm
called him
sorry,
out.
brother.
I just called
You
him out and said, "You're
good.
making stuff up that ain't true."
Good.
And then he just went even harder, like go eat a dick, go suck something, like wow. So I just said, look, it's like obviously the adults that you were surrounded by have conditioned you with that behavior, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah, Monza can get a little disrespectful. I'm sorry I wasn't there to check him because I usually do, but sometimes I pass out and I let everybody else on the panel. I didn't have. I just took everybody off mods, so just because like I had too many people on mods, so
well, that's what I was saying.
I
I
don't.
was going, hey, I used to be a mod, and I was going, mate, if I was a mod now, I would have just cut you, Munzer.
To
I'll
He
interrupt,
make it.
just
sorry, not to
he
interrupt, but
disrespected that lady first.
Yeah,
You're right. That was before me. He disrespected her first, so he was
I hear
doing
you.
it to her.
I'll make you mod again. I'll make you mod again. What's up? What's up, Najoki?
how are
Najoki?
you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sister?
I'm
Welcome to the
I'm
panel.
I'm well, thank you. What's the? I was just asking what was up with the picture. Yeah.
Me and my brother Nagual were talking about mushrooms. We were talking about mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
psychedelic mushrooms,
Yeah.
edible mushrooms,
Mm,
poisonous mushrooms, and we were
yeah.
talking about here. Let me pull up the prompt that we had. We had an interesting prompt.
Is that an oyster one?
I can't tell you, brother. That one I can't tell you. I don't know. I know it's from Africa, somewhere in Africa, but I don't even know the region. I'm gonna look it up, but I came across it on the
Is it
internet.
the mushroom?
Yeah, it
It is
looks
a
like the
mushroom.
pink. It looks like
It
the
is a
pink
mushroom,
oyster.
sister.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
was saying. That's what I was asking the vibes. It looks like a pink oyster mushroom.
Right. But this was the topic. It was indigenous Africans, indigenous Americans, indigenous Mexicans, indigenous Caribbeans. What do you practice? How do you practice it? Do you have medicine? Do you have an origin story? Do you have a prayer, a dance?
I'm an
You know.
African.
All right.
I'm
No,
gonna come back. I'm gonna come back.
yeah, come prepared, sister. Come prepared.
No
I'm
problem.
joking.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Now, hey, vibes. Now, have you had any of that stuff?
Have I what?
Have you had any of that stuff? Mushrooms,
Oh, have
like
I had mushrooms before?
yeah, like whether it's the eating kind, the medicinal
Yeah,
kind, or
yeah.
the
So,
magic
Nagual,
kind.
remember? Did you meet Nagual on this panel? Waka?
Um, I can't
Because
remember.
he remembers you. He
Oh
remembers you.
yeah.
He's like,
Oh
hey,
yes, yes.
your buddy
He's done a
Waka.
lot of
He's a good
research.
man. Yes, that brother right there. Yeah. So we were talking back and forth about our experiences with mushrooms, like the psilocybin, the psychedelic kind, you know, and making
Oh,
references
definitely the
about
magic
how it,
one.
yeah, the magic mushroom. So and then making references about all the cultures that that it finds itself in, you know. And then we were talking about the priesthood. We were talking about religion. We were talking about how the mushrooms and religion are kind of synonymous with how they
Those are
practice.
poison ones, eh? The red
Well,
dots.
this is a
Red with the
medicine
white
one
dots.
too, but it can be poisonous if you eat it right off the. If you eat it fresh, it's poisonous. But if you cure it, if you dry it out, it will still give off a medicine to it, you know. But there's two different types, you know. There's the blue mushrooms and then there's the red mushrooms, you know. It's kind of like the gangs, you know. There's the Crips and the Bloods.
Well, we've got we've got the purple tops.
Okay, yeah. So the blue turns into purple easily, you know.
Yeah. It
You
goes
can't.
dark. It's bluey, dark purple.
Right. So
Those are the most powerful ones here.
Yeah, so we were just diving into that, and then I wanted to look up other mushrooms, and that's where you see all the pictures coming from.
I do know a cultivator that does, and he does all the sections: the food, the medicine, and the magic.
There you go.
And he's got all the parents, right? So I've seen all the parents of all those different versions of mushrooms. And yes, and he does give me so when he harvests some, he goes, try that. And I say, I'm really only interested in the medicine ones and the food ones. I don't want that other stuff. So, but he does give me a lighter version. He goes, oh, well, just have that. It's a lighter version. It won't, you won't go fully into it, but it's an entree.
Yeah, it's a micro dose.
Bro.
Yeah. So so we were just exploring. I like Nagual. Here's Nagual right here right now. Look, I got your buddy Waka, Nagual. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. I gotta go pee. But I'll be right back. Nagual, come on up, Nagual. I'm back.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like, how long have you been able to go in? Where is this place?
I'll be right back, guys.
Oh, I'm not meaning you. Yeah.
How goes, Waka? How you doing, man?
Hey, my brother, Nagual.
I was talking about you earlier, man. How much of a pleasure it was to connect with you.
Yeah, thank you for that message. I really appreciated that. Now, what does Nagual mean?
What does Nagual mean?
Yeah.
So the Nagual is it's a cultural position of my people, as commonly understood as the spiritual guide of the community. So it's
wow.
It's akin to what is known as a shaman.
You're a medicine man.
Correct, but I give reference to the cultural position of shaman, but I can never be shaman because the shaman is actually of the Tungus people from Siberia, and I respect their practices and their culture. So I make the distinction that I'm a Nagual. Similar to that, I would call myself a plant person of the land that I'm from, which is known as the Americas today.
Oh wow. That's Tohunga is our word for shaman. Tohunga.
What was it? How to say it?
Tohunga. Tohunga.
Can you type it in? Because I really like your references to indigenous linguistics. I mean, that's such a beautiful practice that I think everyone should grow accustomed to.
So the first bit of it is tohu, which is symbols and signs. And then the nga bit is plural.
So tohunga.
Yeah, tohunga.
Tohunga.
Nga. You know, like you say hanga, it's that ng nga sound. In the word hanga. So yeah, nga.
So can you say it again for me?
Tohunga.
Tohunga.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, you're perfect, mate. You're perfect.
Yeah, thank you, man. That's such a great practice, man. I really admire you for that.
No, you're welcome. But you've got it straight away. So you can feel how that nga bit, just past the mid section of your tongue touches the roof of your mouth to make that sound. La.
Yeah, I was really interested to hear when you said that the prophet had revealed himself to you in a cloud. Pardon me. I was going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'll ask you here. So it seems to me like there's a that your people, they followed. Well, I don't want to put anything into your mouth, but for lack of better terms, there was a doctrine of some sort, because you said that a prophet, and I was wondering, could you give me a little more reference to that so I can have a better understanding?
Yeah, so that's what my symbol, that star and moon, is up here.
Okay.
And then that white circle around us is the white sun. So you got all the celestials there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's referring to the son of peace, that white sun.
Gotcha.
S-O-N. We 1814 was, and Christmas Day was the first Bible preaching in our country, and that was by a missionary named Samuel Marsden. So that's when the Bible was first preached here, 1814, Christmas Day. So prior to that, we were our own faith system is one supreme creator that we refer to as Eo, I-N-O, Eo.
Eno? Okay.
Yeah, Eo. So that's supreme creator. So whether you want to, you can actually you can translate that to Yehovah or Yahweh.
Okay.
Yeah. And then down through the 12 heavens from that supreme creator. And this is all oral recitation in our language, of course. And then each heaven of those 12 heavens has a guardian. And then the 12 heavens then move into the celestials. And then the celestials moves into this physical realm here. And the name for our Earth Mother is Papatuanuku.
Papatuanuku?
Yeah. And the Sky Father is Ranginui.
I won't even try that one right now.
Rangi and
Rangi Nui.
Yeah, Rangi Nui.
Rangi Nui.
You got it.
God, thank you.
And so at one stage, these two, they were, so Rangi Nui was lying on top of Papatuanuku. And so this is the world of darkness for us that started. So those two were together, and all their children they bore in that environment. Right, so all their children were born and created into the dark, or born in the dark, in that space. So naturally for us, that's where we create as well. We create our things in the dark. So that's a safe space for us. I mean, I guess when we're being mummy and daddy and creating, the lights are off in the dark.
It's unique. It's unique because Vibes and I were just talking about this. How upon my initiation, I did most of my work in complete darkness. I wasn't aware of it, but I turned my condo into a cave without knowing it. I covered all portholes and began, most of my practice was done in complete darkness with candlelight. And so the fact that you're bringing that in relation to your practices, I just love the symbiosis or the symbiotic relationship between cross cultures, you know?
Yeah, also me. And so they had their children, which was now the guardian of the forest, of the sea, of the wind. So they had all their children. There's a whole lot more. And then as they got, obviously, the children, as they grew, they needed space. So they started talking amongst themselves to separate their parents, and all but one of them was against it, and so obviously there's a fight going on between the siblings, and it's all the siblings on one sibling that was against it. So the guardian of the forest, he grew his trees up tall to start separating his parents. All right, and now where did they get that idea of to separate their parents? Well, one of the children were actually looking at their father's armpit, and so the explanation is when he saw his father's armpit move, he saw a light pierce through, and then that's where they got the idea of there's something else beyond their father. And so the curiosity, right? Like, what's beyond there? There's more beyond there. That first ray of light that they saw shining through his armpit represented hope. Right? It represented there's more to life outside of our parents. So that's what started this, well, some call it rebellion, but some call it, moving beyond the world of darkness into a world of light. And so when it was all said and done, the parents are separated. The sibling that lost, he took his eyes out of his socket and he crushed it into his hands, and then he threw those pieces up onto the chest of his father. And then those stars, that star cluster, ends up becoming, for us, our New Year's story. And we refer to that as Matariki. That star cluster is what's known to everyone else as the Pleiades star system. And but that's our New Year's story. But those are the eyes that have been crushed up from that sibling that disagreed with the separation. And the reason why he threw that up onto the chest of his father, so as a witness, he's looking down on the rest of his siblings and their offspring, and remembering their treachery from separating their parents. And so and there's 9 stars in that cluster. It depends on where you are in the country, because sometimes you can only see 5, depending where you are. So some of our people will only do 5, some will only do 7, because that's all they can see from their position. But those of us, we actually can see 9. And so we look at, for us, we see 9 stars. And so each star represents something. There's 2 stars there that represent weather. So if those stars are shining bright, then we can determine we're going to have good weather for the next 12 months, which is going to be good for our crops and our produce. And then another 2 stars are symbolizing freshwater food and saltwater food. Another 2 stars are representing food grown below ground and food grown above ground. And then another 2 stars are representing new beginnings. So this is the New Year star. And the other star is representing our loved ones that have passed in the last 12 months. And then the last star is the mother star, and that's Matariki star. And so those are our New Year's stars, and that happens around the winter solstice. So around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, around what would be June, July, around that period of our winter solstice, and and those stars are rising up first, and we've got to be awake to see it at that time. And we're looking to see how bright they are or how dim they are. Now, because if they're dim, then it's not. We might be having some bad weather for that next 12 months, or not so good weather, and then our crops won't be as abundant when those stars are dim. So that's how we read the stars, living by the stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's closely, as I was just explaining, it's closely connected to our creation story. Ranginui and Papatūānuku.
It's funny because I was going to ask you, because you said prophets, I automatically assume prophets that align with Christianity. So I was going to ask you if you have any hangups about that, but like listening to your story, there is no relation, or there might be that I'm not finding, but almost no relation to Christianity's.
Well, I'll tell you something, brother. All right, now that creation story, right? Biblical scholars have lined it up with the Genesis creation story,
Yeah.
which is very, very interesting because they used to call us satanic, evil, wicked because of that's our creation story,
Yeah.
right? And now they're actually right. They're validating it to be actually that's in line with the creation story in Genesis. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, the same was done over here with my people's practices. Because we had active relationships with psychoactive plants, and they would just deem it as satanic or whatever. But as always, their interpretations come to light, and as most people that look into the Christianity's creation stories, they'll see that it's basically a usurping of many different cultural practices from across the planet. Just there's their interpretations happen to be the ones that are placed in a dominant position as a result of colonization. But yeah, when you look into them, it's obvious that indigenous people across the planet, all of our practices seem to align with each other, just in different expressions. But there's always a congruency that seems to lie beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's always about an Earth Mother and a Sky Father, and then their children, and then stars, moon, sun. So, I mean, we look at the sun as the sun tells us the seasons, the moon's telling us our month, and it's 28 days, 13, lunar calendar.
Yes, sir.
And then the stars are telling us the work that we need to do for that day.
Yeah, I noticed there was some congruencies I saw with you said 12 something, and I was like, instantly my head went to 12 apostles, which were, which were in Christianity were 12 months, and everything seems to do with crop, agriculture, that type of harvest for the season. Everything just aligns perfectly once we look at it from a wider scope of comprehension.
Yeah, so that's our right. That's our origin story, right? And then and I find it very interesting that it actually started lining up with the biblical story. But we didn't need their validation, right?
Exactly.
The information doesn't change. It's us that changes to the information when we mature. Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, what we talking about with the cloud coming, that actually happened 107 years ago. And so specifically, the first, and so 1918 is what I'm talking about, and around March was the first interaction event that was a precursor to what was going to come later on in the year. And this sign was a two whales sign being thrown up onto the beach in a place called Whangaihu, which is 20 kilometres south of a place called Wanganui, North Island, West Coast. And this place, Wanganui, is 2 hours north of Wellington, which is the New Zealand capital. And these two whales that were thrown up onto the beach, one at a time. The first one um, that was thrown up, it pretty much passed without any suffering. And then the second one that was thrown up, it had a bit of struggles, and then it passed. And now our last Maori prophet, his name was Tahu Potiki Wiremu Ratana. Now him and his family went down to the beach, right, to have a day at the beach. And while they were there, this is what they witnessed. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a whole lot of other people that were also there at that beach. They weren't the only ones, and so they all saw it. Now he approached the second one that was struggling and writhing on the beach, and then he went up to it, and it passed, right? And when it passed, he spoke some words to it, and it revived. It came back to life. And then he carved his signature, well, his initials, sorry. He carved his initials into that whale and sent it back out to sea. And this is the Tasman Sea. And then with the prophecies saying that when that whale returns, we will know that the last days will be near, and the time will be right. So I've got no idea if that whale has returned. I have no idea. But that was the first sign of his calling. Then later on that year, in November 8th, so this is during the First World War, 1914 to 1918.
Yes, sir.
And so, just skipping forward to November 8th, later on that year, his son is sick, and they go to the hospital. The medics can't do anything. They operated. The son was complaining of like some metal pin or needle that was in his leg, or rod. Very interesting, a metal rod in his leg. And when they operated, there was nothing there, right? They couldn't find anything. So they stitched him back up. His leg was swollen prior to them going in, so there was definitely something going on, an infection. But when they went in and operated, they couldn't locate anything. So they sent him home with his son and family. We've done our best, nothing more. So he takes his son home, and then his son is inside in the lounge, lying on the couch. And then he goes outside onto his veranda and starts praying for his son. And this son's name was Te Omeka, which means the Omega. Right? And he's looking out towards the Tasman Sea, praying for his child. And then as he's praying and looking out to the sea, he notices a cloud in the sky that's moving in the opposite direction of all the rest, and it's zigzagging across the sky. And then it comes down and starts hovering over the top of the Tasman Sea, and then it starts making its way towards the land, onto the beach, over sand dunes. And as soon as it hits the land, he notices the land starts shaking like an earthquake. And the closer and closer this cloud gets to him, the violent earthquake, rumbling of the land increases. And when he sees that this cloud is now a paddock away, he turns and starts to go inside, right? Because he's thinking, it's the end of the world. I'm going to be with my family. And then as he goes to reach for the door handle, he sees his hand go straight through the handle. And then he looks down onto the veranda, and then he sees his lifeless body lying on the veranda. All right, and at this time, The cloud is directly behind him. He turns around. Now he's out of his body, right? So he turns around, and then the cloud starts speaking to him. And the cloud says, "Be still, fear not. I am the Holy Spirit. I've been around the world searching for a people on whom I can stand, and I've come to you, Tahu Pōtiki Widemu Rātana, to appoint you as the Māngai, divine mouthpiece, and your followers will be known as Morihu." And so these are Holy Spirit given titles, Māngai and Morihu. So Māngai is divine mouthpiece, Morihu is remnant survivor Hebrews scattered to the four winds. Right? And then the Holy Spirit actually takes them into the highest heavens and shows them everything there. Basically shows them all of creation, straight up into the universe and all the creatures that are there. Then he takes them down into the depths of the ocean and shows them all the creatures there. And then he takes them into the earth and shows them all the creatures in there. And he got taken into the nucleus of the star. He got shown it all, the moon and the sun. And then lastly, he got placed back into his body. And then he was shown the whole workings of the body and how to heal it of its infirmities. And the way that the Holy Spirit broke it down to him was he used a wireless and just talked to him about when the people are sick or not well, it's because the dial has gone off the station. And so it's just a matter of bringing the dial and tuning it back into the station. And then from there they go inside, and then the Holy Spirit is saying to have a repentance and confession, cleanse you and your family. Right? And now when they got inside, his wife then starts questioning the Holy Spirit and says, "How do we know you're not a spirit of the devil or a spirit of the Lord?" And then the Holy Spirit says to her, "I will give you a sign in 3 days." And now 3 days later, the sign is the ending of the First World War. The documents of peace were signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So 11/11/11 is Armistice Day to the world. But for us, Morihu, it's the first miracle of the Holy Spirit, which is peace. And that confirmed our prophet's 21-year twin ministry. He then was taken into a 40-day of testing period from Armistice Day all the way up to Christmas Day. The first half of that testing period was about loyalty to the mission, to his assignment, and to our Supreme Creator. And then the second half of that testing was about faithfulness. So part of that testing, he had to run through barbed wire fence, blackberry bushes, you name it, where it carved up his skin, it bloodied him all over. And every day he would return back to his house, and his wife would see him, and he'd be covered in blood from running through the gorse, running through the the barbed wire fence, the blackberry bushes, and his wife would always greet him after at the end of the day, and it would have been hard back in those days seeing that and not knowing why is my husband doing this. But and now one of these times she's holding a white sheet to go and wrap her husband up, and then the Holy Spirit says to her, "Don't touch him. right? And don't touch your husband, otherwise I'm going to turn you into a pillar of salt, right? She never listened to that and went straight forward and grabbed her husband and wrapped the sheet around him. And then the Holy Spirit said to her, okay, I have seen your great love for your husband and your great faith and loyalty to him, so I'm not going to take your life or turn you into a pillar of salt. Right? Instead, I'm going to give you a name. And the name the Holy Spirit gave her on that day was Te Whaia o Te Katoa. And that name means the mother of all. And so that's what she's known to us from that day forward. No longer her human name, but now her spiritual name, Te Whaia o Te Katoa, directly from the Holy Spirit. And then from then on, from 1919 to 1921, he went on a 3-year national tour. And he went from marae to marae. So a marae is our ancestral meeting grounds where our tribe, whatever tribe you belong to, you have a marae to go to. And every marae has a chief. Every marae has its own law. And those laws are dual. It's female and male. The male law is called tikanga, right? And tikanga or tika is right and correct, and ngā is plural, right?
Yeah.
And so you could translate that to be righteous laws, right?
Yeah.
That's masculine. And then the female one, feminine, is kawa. And kawa, and the reason for the kawa is because that's from our Earth Mother, Papatūānuku. She's laying down our foundation. She clothed us, and she lays down the foundation for us to stand upon her, the land. And that's what this kawa is. So she lays down the foundation so we can stand upon her and practice our tikanga. And so that's why our females have a very important role in our culture. Our females lay down our kawa, our foundation, that we can stand upon and practice our tikanga.
It's interesting as you were explaining that. It took me till I think I was like 30, 33 or something like that, 34, where I always hated my last name. It just always kind of stood out. It was never easy for anyone to pronunciate and everything. But you can see here on my screen here, it says Espiri Quetzal. And it took me till that time where I actually started to learn the history and the etymology of my name. And Espiri comes from Espiritus, which is Latin, which means light, pride, breath, energy, ghost, and arrogance. Also translates as Holy Spirit, exactly. And so my first name, Leroy, I always thought it was Leroy, but it's Le Roi from French, meaning the king. And so you were saying masculine and feminine. The Quetzal part of my name is an indigenous bird from Central America, and it's also known as Nahual, also known as shaman, precious flower, sorcerer, and queen. So it took me, 33 years to actually come to terms with my name, owning it, and then doing all the research behind it, and it embodying all of these commonalities I've seen in other religious practices, not necessarily organized religion, just religion is a way of looking back and mending to ourselves, which is the denotative definition, religio, which means to look back and mend. And so I was just like amazed at the similarities. Had I been raised in an indigenous culture, I might have come to terms with this earlier. I might have known about my lineage from the beginning, but being in a Western colonized culture, this was kind of staved off for quite some time as a result of my colonization. but everything that you were saying, it just kept reminding me of like Holy Spirit. Why was I given this name? We indigenous people, we didn't practice the first last name construct. So I came to understand that when colonizers came here, they observed certain attributes in certain people's lineages, and they would assign people their interpretations of what they saw in our lineages. So it was even a greater surprise to know that my name isn't really mine. It was one that was assigned to me by colonizers for what they saw.
Yeah, very interesting, eh? Definitely.
Very.
There's no family names. We don't have surnames. There was only ever the first name.
Yeah, you're aware of that as well. It's funny because I actually have Maori tattoos, because when I began my tattoo journey, I was like, I understood that Maori was they were indigenous, and I wanted to represent. When I say indigenous, when I'm here to protect indigenous identity, which is my cultural position. My cultural position doesn't allow me to invest my identity in any ethnicity. So I give people the reference of a Toltec Nahual, but that's just the name that was assigned to me. Ultimately, I cannot, like I said, I can't invest my identity in that. So my cultural position is here to protect indigenous identity, no matter what culture. We're all birthed into the same planet. So anybody that's indigenous, I see as myself. I practice is myself, and I am themself. Thyself.
Yeah, well, that's the truth too, eh? We're all indigenous to a land somewhere. All of us.
Yeah, I'm under the understanding, doing 20 years of research, that to go back to a pinpoint point of origin is to have a Eurocentric interpretation of our own identities and lineages, because we've been traveling this planet for much longer than the narrative that we've been given. So it's quite possible that your people could have come to this land as well as my people gone to that, whatever my people are. I just like to own the indigenous identity because it's an umbrella term that spans the entire planet, rather than assigning myself a specific ethnicity that's attached to some type of land and attached to some type of narrative that we've been given through Eurocentric texts. I can't trust the Eurocentric narratives that we have. That's all we have to draw from. None of our people's interpretations have been written, or rather they've been kept from being written or conveyed orally. So all I have to go on is basically my own broader comprehension.
I mean, yeah. I mean, fortunately, we were the last to be colonized by the settlers, so we got to retain our culture and our language. They tried hard to strip it from us, but we're still there. So when they saw how because we lived the egalitarian lifestyle, right? And when they saw how we treated our women, how raised up in our societies they were, our women were making decisions for the tribe. And when they saw that, it was a direct threat to them, right? Because the man wore the pants, right, in their religion, and women were in the kitchen. Women were looking after the babies. Women were cleaning house. Well, not in our culture.
Not in mine as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Lieutenant Crook, when he got here and he saw that, one of our female ancestors, when he saw her making these really important decisions for the tribe, he singled her out and murdered her. Right?
Unalived, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, he singled her out and unalived her. Yeah. So that was his first act of coming to our lands. And so that's why we like to thank those Hawaiian brothers, our Hawaiian family, for doing what they did, because that was paybacks, and that's after we actually helped him get here, old Lieutenant Crook, our ancestors, because he was lost. He got lost in the Pacific. He thought he could, because they were tracing around the outskirts of the lands where he was going, making his maps. And then he got cocky and thought, we'll just go straight through the middle of the ocean. And he got lost. All right. Sailing around there. lost. Uh, they're just they're on the verge of unaliving from hunger, right?
Yeah.
Um, this crew had syphilis and all types of diseases, but definitely syphilis. And they would have actually not made it to our lands if it wasn't for our ancestor that came upon them. They were lost. Right? And he showed them, because obviously, he said, well, where are you going? And then when they said, oh, we're trying to get to, Aotearoa, there is no New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get to these lands. And he was going, well, if you keep going the way you're going back to England. So he showed them, and he said, no, you just, that group of stars there, see that
Yeah.
star? Follow that star, it'll take you right there.
It's
And so he went back to where he carried on his journey to where he was going, right? Because we had those double-hulled canoes. They were fast. See how the America's Cup are using those double-hulled vessels now? Well, that's what we were moving in. And so our vessels were way faster than theirs. So let's say he goes to Tahiti, does his business over there, all right, and then he starts heading back towards coming back to here, New Zealand, Aotearoa. All right, well he makes it back to here before Crook did. Right, so he's standing on the beach welcoming them in. Yeah, this is unreal. So we don't get to hear about any of these stories. They didn't teach it in the schools.
of course not.
No, but it's definitely recorded in their ship's log, in their diary. The botanist recorded it, the priest recorded it, and Lieutenant Crook recorded it. But they failed to share any of that. They blatantly left all of that, conveniently left that all out. They were lost and unaliving, and they were about to eat each other, and they had scurvy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When that whole COVID thing happened, I had been researching like religiously for around 15 years, and I had somebody reach out from Australia and New Zealand because they had seen something that I had put on my BitChute channel, and they were very interested. They asked me to actually draw up a paper for them to submit to their cache of indigenous literature that they had been writing themselves, because there seemed, we obviously know that there's a lack of indigenous interpretation of all the constructs that we've been given, such as health. The first thing that went in my head was, if these people would have been aligned with plants, practicing with plant technology, they would have been very aligned with the celestial movements and could have navigated the seas very easily, because it would have been inspired by plants like your people and my people have been for thousands and thousands of years. But since they have because they're not given access to this information, because they're so far detached from Mother herself, they're left to their own ignorance, and basically to the point of unaliving. So these people from New Zealand and Australia contact me, and they asked me, and I was like, I just couldn't believe that there was another body. I should have known, but it was just so foreign to me, because I was in 15 years of doing nothing but research and writing on my own, not even really in contact with general public. So when they asked for my assistance and I offered them a paper, I started to, because I understood that a lot of the attributes that they gave to their people coming to your lands and unaliving people by means of disease was kind of a misinterpretation, because your people and my people, we're at the height, we are the longest living lineages of, basically it counters their own science, meaning the survival of the fittest. We are the fittest lineages because we've been around the longest. So the fact that they could say that their diseases would have an effect on us, such as it did with them, is counterintuitive to their own scientific practices. We would have had little to no effect from their diseases being around us because we were so in touch with our land. And so what I've learned through those people, they gave me some of their work and some of my work as well, that the narratives that were brought of the disease having such an effect on us are highly inconclusive and are very little recorded. So what I'm getting at here is that a lot of the, like, people's understanding of ourselves has just been disconnected via literature. That is, like, again, the only body of literature most of us have to draw from is Eurocentric interpretations. So they're highly inducive to indoctrination. Most of our identities have been just usurped by means of literature. So I'm just very interested to hear your stories as much as other people's as well. I think more people are coming to this awareness that we're just kind of hijacked through literature.
Well, yeah, it's it just shows that they were threatened by our knowledge.
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting. You know, the main thing that Captain or Lieutenant Crook, his mistake is that he didn't turn the map upside down to read the stars properly. So because we're opposite to them, eh? Their sky is we have to turn ours upside down to read their sky, and then we've got to read it from right to left. And so they've got to do it opposite when they come down here. Right.
Yeah. Such an easy, just turn it upside down. But yeah, they're not having
and then they've got to read it left to right.
Yeah.
And that's what he failed to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they got lost.
And almost unalived.
Yeah. It just shows how they thought, how clever they were.
Yeah.
They're being smart, but they weren't being clever.
Yeah, there's a difference between intelligence and awareness. You can read every book in the world, and it will not make you aware.
You won't have an experience until you get down there.
Exactly.
And then you'll find out what you're looking at.
Yeah, all the methods that I came to, I mean, I was surprised at how much was revealed to me being in isolation through my plants. I then understood the difference between learning and remembering, because a lot of the, I have a post that I had an unaliving experience, which is the typical initiation of any type of plant person or shaman. And when I went to the emergency room, I was in no pain at all. And they were trying to administer pain medication, you know, and I was like, why? I'm not in any pain. And I was in an argument with the ER doctor, and eventually it didn't come out of me until I got to that argument. I had no idea what I was about to say, but when I was in the argument, it came out of me, and I told the guy, I was like, look, I had gone through a ritual. I'll tag you on the post, but I had basically desalinized my system. There was no salt in my system hardly. And in order for the brain to receive messages of pain through nerve endings, it has to be salt to conduct electricity to receive the messages of pain to transfer to the brain so that you will feel the pain. And when I said that, when it came out of me, he looked like stupefied, and I looked equally as stupefied as he did, because I wasn't aware of what was about to come out of me.
Did I say that? Did that
yeah, exactly. I was like, what the hell just came out of me? And then 5 years later, when I was granted access to my medical files, I immediately went to the urine analysis, and the doctor at that time had written in ink on the printout, this is not a typo, right next to my sodium levels. It was almost non-existent to a point of near danger, but it had confirmed to me what my practice is, what I had been doing for a year and a half before my unaliving experience. And I was like, how did I know that? You know, I didn't read it from any book. I didn't learn it from any shaman. The only thing I could say was that my plants reminded me that I got it from, the knowledge was from plants. It had nothing to do with a book or some other person. I'd always wondered, if people always say that you have to learn shamanism from a shaman, I'm like, that's impossible, because where did the first shaman learn from? That could only be plants. They're the true source of knowledge and wisdom.
Very interesting, yes. So we call that rongoa. That's our word for that plant medicine.
Yeah, rumoa.
Yeah, rongoa. I wrote it in there, chat, eh?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was all of a sudden the process of learning became a whole new thing to me, because I was like, from what I understand and what I've gathered through modern science and plant technologies, is that all Rungwa. Okay, I got you. So what I've gathered is all knowledge on the planet is held within, quote, DNA. But DNA is literally just the geometric structure of water. So when the process of learning is the student is assumed to know nothing, and the teacher is assumed to know everything, which is counterproductive to us advancing. So what I understood in my interpretation was, if you possess water in your system, your body, and I possess water, you cannot conceive of or create computers from information outside of self. That knowledge literally came from within. So if you possess that water and I do, there's no way I could teach you anything. We can only mutually remind each other of what we mutually possess.
Memory. Yeah.
Exactly.
Higher faculty.
Yeah, it's a complete complement, not opposite, because in nature there's no such thing as opposites. Nature complements, so they bring to perfection or complete the other, and so
synergy.
Exactly, and so I would say, I'd like to say it's a new interpretation, but it's actually new and old, because one cannot be without the other. They lose substance once you place it in a binary comprehension.
Well, our ancestors are inside of each energy center, starting with their root.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. And so, like you, I've had plenty of those experiences. I come from a long line of healers myself, and I stayed with. I was brought up with my auntie, who was a faith healer. So I saw a lot of stuff when I was a kid. In fact, I had a remembrance not long ago about a time when I was maybe around between 5 to 7 years of age, and that's waking up in the middle of the night, or like in the 3 o'clock hours of the morning.
Sure.
And I'm hovering over the top of my bed in the air. Right? The blanket is still on me. Right? And I'm
yeah.
Right, and I'm now levitated in the air, off my bed. How many? Probably about a good meter or more off the bed. And yeah, no, when I woke up and I was going, what's going on here? And I was only little, right? I called out to my auntie, and she came in the room, and then she said a few things, and then dropped. Then I just dropped back onto the bed, and that's this flashback. I had this memory, right? And then these other memories started flooding back.
Yeah, I love you said remembrance, which is a whole different thing.
Yeah, I had all these memories flooding back after that. And one of the things that always stuck with me, my auntie would always say to me, because I used to like playing on the swing outside of her backyard, and she tended to the garden. And while I was swinging on the swing, she always used to say to me, "Can you see these strawberries that I'm working with now? Right? I want you to tune into them and see if you can hear the melody, these strawberries, their tune, their song. I want you to try and tune into it." She used to do that stuff to me, and then she goes, and then tune into the birds, tune into the clouds, tune into the sun and the stars and the moon, tune into them and see if you can hear their harmony, their song, their message. So I was brought up on that stuff.
I could tell actually by your practice, simply by not only giving the colonizers' interpretation and linguistics, but referencing the root of the colonizers' linguistics, which is your indigenous interpretations. That right there is a quality not many people possess or practice, that I've noticed anyways. So I could tell instantly that there is some type of lineage that you had by your practices alone.
Yeah, that was when I was a kid. So it had been, I think, forgotten or just suppressed. And and it's not long ago I actually had it activated, and it's like someone told me something, and then it boom, and it just flooded. I was like, wow, wow. And the other fortunate thing is I was brought up with my older brother in this house, so we've got the same stories. He's my older brother, so he was very aware. And my older brother is, I mean, I might be sharing information, but on this level, right? But I always say that I'm a dot, right? When it comes to my oldest brother, I might be dropping gold nuggets. My brother, he drops gold bars. It's unreal. So,
That reference.
and it's like entering into a treasure, a gold mine. So I went to go see my brother 2 weeks ago, and mate, while I was there, mate, the bars that he was dropping, uh, it was the first time I actually made this connection to a lot of things. And he was going through, he was able to go through our auntie that we grew up with, what he saw, and the things that he went through, and same experiences, and a lot of that stuff, flooded back a lot of the memories.
Yeah, in in the indigenous interpretation, according to my people, it's like you time. They're called experiential reoccurrences. So in the disconnected form of time that we're led to follow, Gregorian calendar, Julian calendar, and stuff, it's a discombobulating application of understanding time and space. But in an indigenous practice, a similar experience will have a reoccurrence. It will be a reflection of the previous, but not the exact same reflection. It'll be in in remembrance of that reflection, but in a modern reoccurrence. So, yeah, these practices, I think if once people start catching on and understanding that how we practiced time and space, then they will occur much faster, and the assemblage point will be moved to a place where this will be the intention that people are wanting to follow, rather than at some point this whole materialistic thing is going to end. I mean, it is in the process of ending just by you and I talking about it. But I think that that's the eventual space it's got to go to, because the current modality is reaching its end.
Yeah, definitely. When I was 4 years old, I had an unaliving experience when I was 4. And I had that flashback. Yeah. This year I had that flashback. But that's the first time I had an unaliving experience. I was actually run over by a motor vehicle, and it split my whole head open and my whole face open.
Yeah, these are typically the events that lead us back to the point, the assemblage point, where all of us have a reference to. It's just a matter of we practice it consciously. Those quote accidents are there to remind us, like, yes, there's still this place that we all must go to, no matter what.
Yeah, well, I like to call it the sanctuary temple.
Beautifully put.
Yeah. And it's that higher place. It's the place of higher learning. We call that Wānanga. Mystery schools of Wānanga, mystery schools of higher learning. But yeah, that was my first interaction of, experience of unaliving when I was 4. My most recent one was probably in 2015, somewhere around there. But that was through plant medicine. Again, with a bush doctor, like a shaman in Australia.
What plant, if I may?
It was similar to the ayahuasca.
Okay.
the bush doctor did explain the two plants he used. In his language, I can't remember what that is. And it looked like a mud. You could tell it was organic, and you could. We had to drink it down.
Yeah, I've had some
But
run-ins
it
with
was,
ayahuasca myself.
yeah, it was sloppy mud looking, and it was definitely tasting like organic earth.
Acidic.
Um, yeah. Um, and then I noticed as soon as it hit my tongue, it began. This It was like this echolalic sound. It was high pitched and it sounded digital. And I wasn't hearing with my ears. I could feel it. I could hear it with my body, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It was going right through me, like up and down. I was like, wow. And then I got the blurred lines, and when those blurred lines finished, because it was going across and then up and down, and when it finished, I was in another place. I watched my body turn into a liquid mirror, and then it went down my throat, and I was very fully into it. And that was my first time in. And I definitely had interaction with beings there. There were elephants in the room. And these beings in this place, well, the first feeling I got straight away was, oh, it feels warm and inviting. And I was meant to be there. And I didn't want to leave. That was the first feelings I got. Yeah. It was it was a beautiful feeling. Um, the bush doctor gave two prompts, and the first prompt was surrender, submit, and then when I submitted, I noticed when he said when I heard that word and I fully submitted, it went 1,000% fully. It it was very intense, and but it was healing and it was warm and inviting. That's what was dominant about it. I was supposed to be there. And then the next word that he gave was, "You're not there to understand. You're there to observe." And that was very helpful because I stopped questioning where I was and what is this. It made me relax and just, oh yeah, this is where I am. It turned into acceptance. Oh, this is where I am. This is nice, all right? And I embraced it. And then when that happened, I was just looking down on the ground, and then I saw these 2 feet. All right, and I went, okay, it's 2 feet. And then I traced it up the body. The legs were lean and skinny like twigs, but it had big feet like a hobbit.
Yeah.
It had no hair. It was smooth skin. It had a Buddha tummy. When I got up to the tummy area, it had no reproductive organs. But when I got to the tummy, it was a Buddha tummy. It just looked so out of shape, like that skinny legs with a Buddha tummy. The Buddha tummy, the Buddha tummy was red and rosy. Right? I went, oh, that's a nice warm colour. And my whole thinking and feeling towards it was unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was projecting out. Oh, nothing but unconditional love. And then when I got up to its face, no mouth, um, two little nostrils, and then these eyes, like they were piercing, and it had like black piercing eyes, and its cheeks were rosy red, and it had a big smile. That's the most thing I know. It had a big smile, and then it leaned into me, right, and put its face right into my face, and then I heard it say in my mind, "Can you feel that?" Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and then I responded and said, yes, I can feel that. It feels awesome. Yeah. And then it just said, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? And then it leaned back, it stood back up, and then I saw these hieroglyphic symbols coming out of its head. And they were, these symbols kept changing shape as they moved across. And I was like, wow, they look like source code. That was like something in the Matrix, like you see that source code keep moving.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's what I saw coming out of its head and moving through the air. And then I just watched where it was going. And then when I looked down to the end of the room, I saw a door, and there was another being standing there. Then I noticed that I was actually this room that I was metallic, and I was on like a metallic, like a sun chair by the side of the pool. And then I looked down and I was going, oh, and I'm strapped into it. Right? I'm going, holy heck. Okay, this is where we are. And then I saw the symbols go into that one's head, and then it came out. The symbol starts heading back towards me. And as soon as those symbols hit, I was part of this conversation. And then now I'm starting to send out signals back, the same symbols back. And now we were in this three-way communication. And I was like, wow, getting downloads now, uploads and downloads.
Yeah, I love hearing it because so many similar experiences on my end. I just love hearing everybody else's renditions because drawing the correlations, there's definitely a congruency.
Yeah, and yeah, so and I could then that's when I started. I was tuned into what they were talking about now. I was like, and I was very thankful that they included me into the conversation. And what I felt from there, that they had nothing but love for us, or love for me and us. And we are them, and I am them, and they are me, and there is no separation. That experience, it only felt like 5 minutes, you know?
If there's anything I tell people about indigenous practices, that is the one underlying common theme, is that all these the terminology, even the pronoun I, as in I myself, didn't come into existence until 1200. And when you enter that term into the lexicon, I don't think people understand the hypnosis that occurs with linguistics. It's like indigenous people would have considered that a virus of some sort that would destroy, communities and cultures, because we were so communally oriented. It's like there was no I or you or myself, or it was thyself. We made no linguistic or philosophic distinctions between ourselves, plants, and animals. Everything was a being, and that's literally how we behaved and interpreted ourselves and incorporated ourselves into our surroundings. When you bring those terms in, then it creates a psychology, which then alters our comprehension. And that comprehension is a manipulation that causes nothing but separation and delineation. And so, you go from 1200 to 2025. The practice of these linguistics then begins to determine our intent and wills to a point of destruction, self-destruction from inside. And this is how we're so easily manipulated modern times.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality is, you can see this stuff happening now. We're starting to shift and move back together. And this is how I'm looking at this pole shift. It's a shifting to moving as one and heading in the same direction.
Yeah, the experiential reoccurrence is going to happen. I think even like today with all the pronoun psychology that people are demanding that we, some people have they, them, he, she, all this stuff is like, this was kind of weird. I've only expressed this a couple times, but at one point my plants tell me that we were hermaphroditic beings, like the planet was ruled as hermaphrodites. We were all
Mm.
multiple, both sexes, but that eventually single-sex organisms began to spontaneously emerge, and then the populations reached equilibrium, where eventually the single-sex expressions began to take over, and the hermaphroditic population began to fall, which explains like there's still a large hermaphroditic population in India, and they're the remnants of that particular age, that era. But when we try to identify as he, she, which most indigenous linguistics did not even have an expression of, that eventually it came back around to this second experiential reoccurrence, where people are now demanding that we address them in he, she, or they, them in both sexes, which is just a psychological reoccurrence of that specific age in the new reflection. So like you said, we're headed back in that direction because it's the only place to go at this point.
Yes. So yeah, I mean that's where we're heading to at the moment. Is yes, let's get back together. Let's unite, um, and especially down here where we are, and we can't do it by ourselves. We need everybody.
Fact.
For a long time, we've been standing up and fighting the good fight by ourselves as indigenous authentic peoples on our sovereign lands, unceded sovereign lands. And now we've got, for the first time in our country, we've got the all of our guests, right? All the people we've been hosting, all the different cultures that are here from around the world, they're starting to stand up and fighting the fight with us. So
I've definitely been aligned with New Zealand populations, indigenous populations, and Australian. I remember there's this great video of an Aboriginal from Australia where he says, we never came up with terms like please and thank you. Like those would be begging linguistics. He's like, you would never have to ask for anything in our culture because sharing is built into it. So the fact that you would develop those terms, again, it's just it does harm to a community rather than just living the construct itself. There would be no purpose of asking or begging because you could just, we would offer what we had at all times. You were not you are me in a different name, and I am you in my name, but together the complementary expression of life itself.
Yeah, there's those terms, they sort of have positionary terms attached to it.
Yeah.
And then for ownership.
That's why I get twisted a little when people are like try to claim aboriginal or like this is our land. I'm like, how can you claim to be indigenous when we didn't even have the construct of ownership of land? It doesn't make sense,
I could go with that narrative as well. When they claim aboriginality, I say, well, you are, because you're not original.
if anyone, those who try to claim it, like they're so attached to like claiming some literature that substantiates their position. I'm like, if you are Aboriginal, there was no literature at that point. So how can you claim it? It does. You can't substantiate it because no one can do it properly. So why don't we just accept the fact that some Black people may be indigenous, some brown people, even white tea people can be indigenous. It's a matter of practice, not so much literature that we have to prove it. It's like, it's kind of stupid.
We can adopt you into the tribe.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's something I learnt over there in Australia from the bush doctors there. And the lawmen, they were talking about, well, we're not Aboriginals. Those Waitis are the Aboriginals, right? We are the originals. We are the originals of this land.
Yeah, even the term Aboriginal itself is a false construct. It means before original, but there can't be a before and original. If you're original, you're original. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why I say not original.
Yeah.
See, and it tells you there. But they're actually. It's interesting how they place those titles on us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting because then there's that, and it's unsaid meaning that they're the original, right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting how they did that kind of stuff. They inverted it to make themselves the original, and now we are the foreigners on our own lands.
When they're the ones who came to the party last. Yeah. How could they? I get so. I've questioned so much this. We're coming into an age where identity. People are seeking that identity because it's been messed with so much. But I like the fact that it's finally come to this point where everyone is so interested in it. At the same time, though, I believe that we should be weary of these titles that we bestow upon ourselves, because once again, it goes back to a point, and it's like time has never been linear. Time is a continuum. So if time is a continuum, how could you go back? How could you claim an identity that goes back to a point and stops? It doesn't make any sense.
You must have an origin, right? And you must be able to trace it back to an origin.
Yeah.
And you can't do that, right? Now, here's one thing we know for here is we have this word like marae, right? So we'll ask let's say the foreigner, like, where's your marae? Because if you're indigenous, then you're indigenous to a marae on our land. So where is that?
What's a marae?
And it's our ancestral meeting houses that each tribe, their bloodline goes back to, right? And so if and those maraes have a chief, right?
Yeah.
And so you should be able to name the name of your marae and the chief, right? And you can't do any of that. You're not indigenous. You're not from here. So that's an easy test, that one. Right? And here's the next one, udupa. Right? That's another question we might ask. Where's your udupa? Udupa is our cemeteries, like our cemeteries.
Yeah.
Near our ancestral burial grounds. Right? So that's the other question. Well, where's your udupa? Right? Because if you're not being buried over there in the udupa, or you don't have one, well, you're not from here.
I'm always been interested in this because there's been. How would you handle a case where so many people have been disconnected from their lineages and their histories? Where would you give the grace to somebody who's looking to reconnect and doesn't necessarily have the answers to those questions? How would you handle that situation?
Well, learn who you are.
Okay. Yeah.
Learn where you're from. Yeah, it's your family tree. Yeah, go and do some research on your family tree. So we might think, you'll have to go and trace that back through your parents, their parents,
Yeah.
And then so we recite our whakapapa orally, which is our family tree line.
Okay.
And so we will always start with our mountain. It's the closest mountain that's near this marae. Right? So it's all local, right? And when you can see your maunga, we call it maunga. Obviously, you got to know that maunga's name, because name is about having knowledge. Right? When you start naming things. And so, so we start from the mountain, and from the mountain comes our rivers. So that's what's next. Right? So we do Maunga, Awa, river, and then what goes on top of a river? Our canoes, which is waka. That's what waka means.
Oh, now I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I was going to ask that at one point.
Yeah, so that's waka of life now, because we're on the canoe of life and we're paddling on the same canoe. We're all in the same waka. And we're on the same river, All right, and we're heading to our marae, our ancestral lands,
Beautiful.
where our chief is. It's very intentional. So yeah, so
Yeah.
we have our waka on the river, and in the canoe, the waka is the people, us, our tribe.
I've come across this in literature actually. Not you're giving me a remembrance.
Mm. And so yeah, now the tribe always belongs to a piece of land, ancestral lands, where our marae is, and that's where we're heading to. We're heading to our ancestral lands, our marae.
Yes, sir.
It's our safe space. Right? Our marae is also is like a wānanga space as well, which is there's higher mystery learning schools. We learn all our knowledge. We learn about who we are and who all of our ancestors were that lived before us, and we are the current wearers of their skin. So all of their knowledge and wisdom is inside of us. And that's how it goes.
Are you familiar with there's a hip hop artist, he goes by Waka Flocka Flame, and
Yep.
so that was the first thing I thought when I saw your name, and now because he's indigenous to these lands, and he's one of the few hip hop artists that actually came out publicly and said, he's like, no, I'm not from Africa. He's like, my ancestors, that's what they told me. He's part like Red Tail and this and that. But I know that because of that linguistic application, there's got to be some congruency with what you just said with the canoe. I know that that's the way it is when you study linguistics, which is what I always try to inspire people to do, is like the key to really unraveling the whole mystery is linguistics, and it goes cross-culturally. The same phonetic sounds that we reference will lead you somewhere. And because I know that when I was doing so much research, and I would always hit some type of block of some sort where I couldn't go any further. And then once I started looking into etymologies and the linguistic systems and how they're all correlated, then those barriers started to come down. So yeah, I know that I'm gonna go into looking into that Waka Flocka Flame. I'm just glad that you knew about him.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't heard that name for a while, for a long time. Waka Flocka Flame.
Yeah, he along with a lot of other, a lot of. So there was a recent post from the president of Colombia. He went public at the United Nations. He was having a speech and he was condemning the United States for its production of fentanyl and other type of substances. And then he specifically stated, this has been my mission ever since I began my research, was he made a reference to so-called Black people being indigenous to this land for many thousands of years. And it's being suppressed heavily right now. But I was like, wow, like that. So a lot of these hip hop artists are starting to come out and starting to own their indigeneity, but they're getting a lot of pushback from, quote, Native Americans. And every time I see a Native American pushing back on them, trying to assign them a cultural ethnicity that somehow always reverts back to Africa, it hits me the wrong way. And that's what my mission is, kind of to validate and substantiate the so-called Black people's indigeneity to these lands.
Yeah, so I think there is a connection from the Indians came from the Africans. I think there was a connection there.
Yeah, there's been a lot of the history we've been given is just so indoctrinated. Like there's a definite agenda attempting to remove Black indigeneity from these particular lands, and the narrative is slowly but surely falling apart. And a common practice for most people is, because of our indoctrination, we just assign them African identity, but the history books and now the genetics is beginning to tell otherwise. But trying to convince the people who have been indoctrinated as heavily as we have here in the United States is a different thing. So many people try to claim indigeneity as their own, as though it can't be shared with other people, and that just really hits me the wrong way.
Yeah, 'cause I think I saw a bloke, he posted the original Indians. They were definitely dressed up, in the gear that they wear today. But these guys were they were melanated, had the big nose and big lips.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the history of my people in Central America, like with the temple of Chichen Itza, the depictions of the people who lived there, inhabited that area. There's a clear, dark, heavily melanated person, and then a lighter but still dark, heavily melanated people on the walls. And for some reason, people don't want to accept the fact that those heavily melanated people are so-called black people. But just running into this type of indoctrination is frustrating, but it's also inspiring to me at the same time. It just is like I've gotten so much of my so I've been researching 20 years, and for 12 of those years was literally 10 to 12 hours a day. And so much of my research, all of my research that I've ever read, that I've ever watched, listened to, is all stored in my phone. My plants told me at the beginning, if you don't have your research on hand right there, then it's not worth anything. So 20 years of research is in my phone, ready to disseminate at any particular time. And I have a complete cache of genetic evidence, archaeological finds, anthropological, whether it be genetic anthropology, and then the historical accounts. There is so much evidence that proves that so-called black people are definitely indigenous to Central America and all across North America. I haven't really got so far into Southern America yet. I can only do so much over a certain amount of time.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, your area, that's why I'm so happy to have connected with you, because my logs are still lacking in that particular region of the world as well. Are you connected to a lot of literature that from your area?
Yeah, there's a lot of literature that's available. At one time it was suppressed by these whiteys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can't keep this information down. They tried to, like they were saying, oh, your language wasn't written down, and they were correct there up until the early 1800s when we first people went to England, and then while in their first visit to England, one of the men that were there took them to Cambridge University, and then it got formalized into a written language then. So that's very recent, like in the early 1800s, 1808, I think.
Yeah, that particular time is when all the institutional indoctrination systems, commonly known as education, were being proliferated and spread across the planet under the guise of education and science. So I'm glad at that particular juncture, your people's has got substantiated during basically like all of these recent sciences and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure now that the clergy were well aware that religion was beginning to fail, and so they needed to come up with a new religion, which has now become so-called sciences. And but when you look into the history of all of these life sciences, they all stem from that particular era, early 1800s to mid 1800s and late 1800s, like the field of anthropology, the field of psychology was a little later, but archaeology, anthropology, all of these, the fathers, even psychology actually, which was Sir Francis Galton. Biology was Charles Darwin, who was 1859 was when the print of The Origin of Species came about. And so,
Charles Darwin came down here to New Zealand.
I've read his journals, and I remember coming across some of that literature. Yeah.
He didn't like his people that were here. He came and stayed with us.
Are you familiar with the original Prince title?
Prince?
The original print of The Origin of Species. Are you familiar with the complete title?
No.
So, The Origin of Species is the foundation of all biology, meaning genetics, virology, bacteriology, even archaeology and anthropology. So, the original title was printed 1859, November 24th, and it's The Origin of Species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Now, they removed the preservation of favored races in 1871 and distributed that across the planet under the guise of science and education.
Well,
Yeah. And so, are you familiar with the term eugenics?
yes.
So that term was coined by Sir Francis Galton in 1883, and he was first cousin to Charles Darwin. So he's regarded as the grandfather of psychology. So the progenitor and basically the founding father of the field of psychology is Sir Francis Galton, and that psychology is the driving force behind all other life sciences. For instance, anthropology. The father of anthropology, his name is Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, and he's basically coined as the father of anthropology. But he came up with color code and racial identities. So when people question, I'm like, look, how could the field of anthropology not be racist when it was conceived for that specific purpose? You know, those three major life sciences were all conceived by eugenicists and white supremacists.
Oh, well.
Yeah, a little history.
Yeah, I mean, when he came down here, Charles Darwin, he stayed with our people who didn't like his people. He called them filthy, unhygienic, disease-ridden. Yeah, he called them heathens.
Yeah, he was. The common narrative is that he disliked religion. Yet,
Yes.
but what's funny is that people say, Leroy, you know, the Origin of Species, it was about plants. It wasn't about people. I'm like, no. I'm like, you got to understand his interpretation of nature was still in hierarchical format. So he gave the survival of the fittest interpretation that we've been given to understand ourselves and the world around us. But indigenous practices like the lion and the gazelle, when the lion eats the gazelle, that's seen as survival of the fittest. But we, in indigenous practice, we created mythologies where the lion and gazelle would engage in a dance, you know, where they would show off each other's techniques. And at the end of the ritual that was the dance, the gazelle would offer one of her young to the lion to sustain the pride, which is a different interpretation of the exact same observation. So ours is horizontal, whereas Darwin's was still biblical, being hierarchical. A point of origin is of the construct of Adam and Eve theory. You know, so even though he was, quote, against his own religion, he could not break away from his philosophical application of it.
Yeah. He also learned our language.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he got our worldview. Most definitely. And then he saw how we lived this egalitarian lifestyle. Right. And I think that changed him a lot, hey, that experience.
It's funny because I've read his actual journal, his personal journal, where he had repeated use of the N-word so many times that I can't even present it here on TikTok because I'll get strikes for it.
Yeah.
I just find it peculiar, though, how
Trigger.
Afrocentrists refer to his work when he was literally quoted as referring to them as anthropomorphous apes, you know, and trying to his science being used to eventually wipe out the entire culture.
Wow.
That was the
well,
descent of man.
That's equal to evil.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that interesting. He certainly behaved differently down here. Oh, I think he went to those places first before he got here.
Yeah. I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
It was the last place he came to was here, and then he saw something different. Maybe he was a bit older and a bit more mellow,
Yeah,
As
you're
you do with
striking.
age.
Yeah, you're striking my interest. I'm going to go back into the literature and look and see this.
Yeah. But that was very interesting. Yeah, he never stayed with his own people, and then because they were filthy, he didn't like how they lived. They were unhygienic, and then they mistreated the women.
He, yeah, he also like. Well, that's funny. Because if I'm correct, I'm pretty positive he was. He was. God, I don't want to say it, but he had. Did he have a wife? I'm not sure if I'm messing up. Oh no, never mind. That was Einstein. Forget about it. Now, I'm not familiar with his practices in his own, like if he was married or anything like that. I don't know why I don't know that.
Well, he certainly didn't believe in that Big Bang theory.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just wonder why is that attached to that man?
Is it? I mean, I know he was more in line with the out of Africa. Well, he's the one who proposed it first, the out of Africa theory. But he was so adamant on attributing our quote evolution being linked to that of apes, you know. And I was like, because that put him in a hierarchical position that so-called black people were most closely associated at the bottom of the hierarchical system, linked to apes. And I was like, you know, it's unnatural in my interpretation, my understanding that we are our own species. Like we have nothing to do with apes, but so many people are still linked to that interpretation. And because there's you can't substantiate
evidence.
Yeah, if you can't, you can only substantiate a position by cross-referencing, and if there's no cultural complement as far as like to the scientific narrative, then it has no substance, basically.
Even in reality, right? If evolution is true, we should be still seeing this evolution now, and we should be seeing it like these apes that are starting to change. All right, we should see a half change. We should be a 3/4 change. We should be seeing that now, but
absolutely
there's
nothing.
Right. So I'm like, well, you made it up.
Yeah, it seems so obvious to me, but
yeah.
You know, other
They'd
people
be held in a zoo. Some they'd be held in zoos if there was.
Well, it was funny that you mentioned that because he was during the late 1800s. He actually helped open up zoos that would place indigenous people in those zoos next to apes, which is quite horrifying.
Very. Yeah, that's disgusting.
We got Bay. Yeah. We got Bay down there in the comments. You want to come up, Bay?
What side do you say? Check.
I'll invite her.
Yeah. I think she knows vibes. Everyone knows vibes. You've got the vibes.
Yeah, her and I have had some run-ins in the past, so I'm just curious as to her interpretation of what the science says.
Does she know? I wonder if she knows that that old Darwin came down to New Zealand and he stayed with our people and not with his own.
You want to come up, Bay? You're open to give your 2 cents if you'd like.
Yeah, we're not biased. I'm open to anything.
I want to hear every interpretation. I mean, I need to.
Yeah, and I don't cherish emotion to cut people down, or I think that I'm more superior. No way. Let's get together and let's share. That's what those whiteys attitudes are. They don't like us communicating.
Yeah.
And they use their English language to separate and divide us. And look how we know this language, and look how we use it, because that's what this language was created for, to separate and divide. It's got nothing to do with bringing us together.
Why don't you come up, Bay, and tell us the Quetzal story? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, true. And
I invited her once. I'll invite you again.
And that's not to get at you. It's like you're just open sharing.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
I guess you didn't want to come up.
Oh, are you going to
I
tell
made it
the
home finally.
Hubs story? Brother Vibes. Thanks for their tour, Brother Vibes.
Hold on, guys.
Now, have you?
I walked from one side of town to the other. My African genes kicked in, you know. I'm gonna go take a shower and charge this phone. But you guys keep. I was listening the whole way. I'll come back.
Well, I'm trying to get Bay up here. I invited her twice now, but she doesn't seem to accept the invitation.
I'm still waiting for you to make me a mod back, Brother Vibes.
Is Waka a mod now?
Well, that's what he said. He said, I'll put you back as a mod when I first come in. I wouldn't even know how to check.
Come on, Bay. I'm not close to what you have to say, love. Just please, enlighten us.
Yeah, because I don't like it when people they feel they can't share because then maybe they're going to get attacked.
Yeah,
that's not what this is. I don't like doing that.
Yeah, she came up before and she had an issue with one of my interpretations of the literature that I had discovered. But when upon asking her, she kept questioning what she thought was my interpretation, but it's not my interpretation. It's what I gathered from the literature. And so I kept asking her the question, what is your interpretation? She wouldn't share it. And I was like, why wouldn't you share it if we're all open to hearing everyone's interpretations or the cultural significance of your interpretation?
Because somewhere, when we get down to it, right, there's got to be a connect somewhere.
Yeah.
We're looking to connect, not divide.
Still no acceptance, Bay? All right. Well, that's twice I've asked her. You still with us, Vibes?
Yep. Go for a shower.
You've been blessed with mod privileges. Oh, you've been blessed with mod privileges. All right. Walk as a mod. Watch out.
Thank you, brother. But I'm a kind one. I don't do mean things to people.
Now that when we were on the live the other night, I forget his name, Jay Money. He was so adamant about the African interpretation, and when I brought up the creation of the pyramids, he was so anti of what I was saying. I was like, look, I'm just giving other information that I've discovered myself, so I'm not stuck to any one.
Aren't they're older? I've seen the older pyramids there.
Yeah, it was, again, it's the origin thing. It's like people want to see their people as the first to everything, and I'm like, I've never claimed any of that in my entire practice. I mean, it would go against my own philosophy to state that I'm the first or my people is first or that I even have a people. I mean, we're all born on the same planet, so
I'm happy for them to claim whatever. If they want to be first, okay, you be first.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. You be first. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, now let's connect.
Exactly. Let's find out how these stories are aligned and congruent with each other.
But but don't try and think you're going to have rulership over me when you're claiming this first status.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's not exclusive; it's inclusive. Right,
that would seem like, yeah.
That's a divisive tool when you start doing that stuff. I'm first, you're last, or you're behind me, you're under me. Is that the implication? You're right. You're my subject.
That hierarchical system of philosophy is just so. It's just.
Weighty. It's weighty. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Like I try to explain that to people. I'm like, look, if you claim to be indigenous, that is anti-indigenous. I mean, like, if there's no way any of us can substantiate it, so why don't we just listen to each other and just be happy that each person has their story?
Yeah, there's some beauty in it. I mean, especially if you believe in the Lord, if you follow that narrative, then you claim to be first, and you're going to be last.
Yeah, it automatically determines if you're the hierarchical system is like, okay, I'm dominant, so there instantly has to be a submissive or a subordinate position, and that is what has been imposed upon us, that we're constantly fighting against, is this colonization, yet they're in the act of progressing it. Just
Yeah, you're giving that energy, which is a divisive energy. And that's the stuff we've got to step out of. We can't have peace, we can't have unity with that energy.
oh, she took off, man. Well, maybe someday I'll be able to reach her. We got splash on that. Splash on that ass. Yeah, man. If you're up into it, come up, man. At some point, I actually have to go to the bathroom here. Vibes, if you're still available, because I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to drive at some point because I pull over in the middle of parking lots and then I get caught in like 3-hour lives and I'm like, oh shit, I'm having such a good time that my back teeth start to float.
Oh, what side of town are you on?
Oh, right now I'm at 6 p.m. in the evening.
Is that Wednesday?
Yes, it is Wednesday.
Okay, so what are we? We're Thursday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, really?
Thursday. Yeah.
So you're in the future. All right.
Well, yeah, and I'm going back to the future with you. Yeah, we're time traveling.
I love that. I love it, man.
I'm bringing you forward, and you're taking me back.
Yes, sir. That's another application of research that I often find people in. It's like they start at a point and they assume that all of these sciences are substantiated, so they just keep under that assumption. They keep researching from that point forward. But at one point, I got caught, and I was like, "Wait a minute here. How do I know this? What I'm thinking is the correct interpretation if I have no cultural comparative or context?" So then I had to stop and go backwards to the beginning of these fields of science to then have a more encompassing view of my modern interpretation, and which then began. I saw how many contradictions I had, even my own narratives. It was quite embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, because it can be tested, right? Like when people say, "Okay, well, we're first." Okay, well, hang on. Who gets to see the sun first? hang on here. Who gets to see the sun first? Right? And then we get to see it. We get to see it come up first and go down first. And it's the same as the Sabbath. You get to see it go down and come up first. It's the same thing.
Arabic food is number one. Splash. I don't think have I eaten Arabic food? Shit. I think I probably had to have at some point.
I've never eaten Arab.
Give me an example of Arabic food. Maybe I have. I don't know.
Spices, veggies, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The first thing that comes to mind is lamb for some reason.
Are they allowed to have seafood, shellfish?
Shellfish, all right.
Like crayfish, freshwater crayfish. That stuff's beautiful.
Are you there, Lives? I mean, Vibes? Shawarma. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I've eaten shawarma before, yeah. Okay. So like a falafel. Yeah, I hope I said that right, because I remember my Lebanese friend telling me, no, Lear, it's not falafel. I was like, all right.
Is Lebanese pizza the same?
I'm sure it has to have some part. pizza though.
I've had Lebanese food.
That too. Okay. Word. Yeah, I've had Lebanese for sure. I love Lebanese food, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Even their culture, they remind me of us, the Lebanese.
Oh man, Fibes, you there, bro?
Let's get a toilet, bro. You're all good. I think the brother's having a shower.
All right, right. Well, I gotta start my car, and then I gotta move. So, okay, that's Arabic food. But Arabic. I hope I said that right. I think I did. Arabic.
What state are you in?
I'm
You're
in
in
Oregon.
America. Oregon.
Yeah, West Coast of United States.
Is Oregon anywhere near the south?
No, we're Pacific Northwest, up near Canada, Washington.
Oh, okay. Yep. Outside.
We're like a rainforest, but an evergreen rainforest. So we have a lot of conifer trees and deciduous trees as well.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, a lot of mushrooms grow out here.
Oh, yep. It's got that, what do you call it? It's dewy.
Kiwi?
A lot of dewy, yeah, dewy in the bush, which is good for mushroom growing.
Ah. All right, well, I got to go on mute, and then I'm going to start my car and travel somewhere. So I'll be listening in, but I'll be in here. I don't want to leave you alone walking, but I got to go to the bathroom so bad. So.
No, you're all good, my brother.
All right, family.
I appreciate you sharing.
Likewise.
Because Brother Vibes, he won't be long. Right. I just find it interesting as we continue to share. We find the similarities that are there. And then we find out how connected we really are. We have this common denominator in terms of this colonial settler influence. That has basically assumed our identities. And then they've inverted it right over. They've given us their identity. Hey, babe. Oh, welcome in, babe. Come up. Now you can share. The brother Nagual had to go, but he's listening in. But yeah, come up and have a chat. Or even, the brother Splash, come up and have a chat. Otherwise I'm just going to start talking about what I've come across. Is I don't know, but has anyone come across King Lancelot from houseoflancelot.org and the research he's done through now what's his claim? He's got more of a claim to the throne of England than Charlie Boy. Right? And so what's he claiming? The House of Windsor is not from Europe. Saxe Coburg Gotha line, Germany. The House of Windsor traces back to the House of Pharaoh in Egypt. Is anyone out there that's aware of that? Now, this bloke, King Lancelot, who I'm talking about, most days he's on here in TikTok doing his live presentations. Right? And he makes these claims, right? And I've seen TikTok shut people down that have made false claims, right? Just ended their lives without warning. I've never seen that happen to this bloke, to this guy, ever. Right? And he even challenges. He goes, "Come on, TikTok, if I'm not telling the truth, cut my live like how you do to everybody else's, and start sharing dishonest information or information that's correct or incorrect," and they never do. So that's a sign for me right there that maybe what this guy is sharing has got some elements of truth in it. I mean, I know myself and the lives that I've had, my lives have been cut as soon as someone starts talking some non-truths. Now, this King Lancelot traced his genealogy back to the first king of England. There's got to be someone out there that knows this about this guy, the first king of England. Actually, it's Wessex Mercia, right? And in the first century, and this king was also a great Roman emperor that ruled England. Ruled Rome from England, specifically Wessex Mercia. Right? This man was a melanated king, born in Libya. His right-hand man was Marcus Aurelius. He built the Septimius Wall and the quarter-mile wall in the city of London. Oh, thank you, Brother Miguel. Yeah, awesome, man. So, so you have the literature of Septimius Severus, first century king of Wessex Mercia. So, this King Lancelot is sharing all this information, and specifically, he did it. He made the public declaration petition in Westminster Parliament. Right now, so apparently, they're actually practicing Parliament incorrectly. Right. So on the houseoflancelot.org, right, you can do your surname search, genealogy search. Right. Now you can submit 4 names. Right. It costs £9.99. Right. UK pound. All right. So it's under $10 to do 4 name searches, family names. Right. And for the purposes of tracing your lineage back to Septimus Severus. And when you can do that, then you are right of the House of Windsor. And now it's just figuring out which families inside of the House of Windsor, because they're all crown families, right, which one of those families do you trace back to? And when you do, well, you have more claim to that crown than Charlie Boy. Right? So I've completed my name search, 4 of them. Right? I'm in New Zealand. Right? I submitted 3 English names, right? And my indigenous culture name, right, from my father's side, right. I expected the 3 English names at least that I submitted to come back, eh, um, with some, with a lot of pages, right? But that's not what happened. Well, what came back was with the most pages, was the indigenous name I supplied, which, that surprised me heaps. It was bigger than the other names I submitted, right? Some of the other names I submitted was the name James, mhm, the name Wycliffe, and the name Barrett, right? And I know this name Barrett, when I traced this name Barrett for myself many years ago, that went from Cambridge to Cornwall, to Cork in Ireland, and then it went back to Italy, France, right? Europe. It started going Europe way, right? Which was correct. There were no stories about that Barrett name. Links back to the overthrowing of King Louis, and then they left there and went to England. That's how they got there. I ran with the loot. But the indigenous name that I gave, it went all the way back to the creator of the steam engine. I think it was Rankine or something like that, but and Clausius. Right? And it didn't stop there, it went further back. That's what really surprised me. Right? So it doesn't matter what name you got, because at the end of the day, what was King Lancelot was saying, supply even all of your indigenous names, because they will link back to the House of Pharaoh. Now, specifically, what King Lancelot talks about to the House of Pharaoh is Pharaoh Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti, and their daughter Scotia, where Scotland comes from, or Scotia. But like I said, I'll finish my name trace, and now I'm linking up to one of those crown families in the House of Windsor, which is out of Africa. Now I'm in New Zealand, right? Now, when you can claim, when you can link yourself to one of those crown families, that's your royal lineage, right? That's your crown lineage, and then you've got each of those families have a coat of arms, and now you can use those coat of arms because you're part of that house, that crown house, right? And now you're one of the children of that noble ancestry, right? And now you can claim your royal crown to the throne of England, right? As a child of that noble ancestry, right? And now there's imperial acts that goes with that, and they were written by King Edward the Third, right? Who was another melanated king. In his 25th year of reign, He wrote these imperial acts. Now, these imperial acts are instant automatic law. They don't go to any house to get validated. No. Imperial acts are forever. They can never be repealed. They are the acts that have come straight down from God to the monarch, and the monarchs put them in writing. Oh, and that's these acts that he put into writing, because for the purposes of ensuring the future of his bloodline. Right? So it begins with the Supremacy Act, and that Supremacy Act, the first line on that Supremacy Act is really compelling. About is telling you to you ought to claim your royal title, status, identity. So that's giving you right there, compelling. You ought to do it. Right. Claim your royal status as a child born beyond parts of the sea. And then and that act there tells you straight away where you, as a child born beyond parts of the sea, right, you're entitled to a royal inheritance. When you trace yourself to be a child of that noble ancestry, there's an inheritance there as a royal, right? A royal child was born in parts beyond the sea, anywhere, right? Now that inheritance, right? Well, the fake imposters have been receiving it, right? Meaning Charlie Boy and his family, right? They've usurped what's ours, right? The fake imposters, and so they've stolen our inheritance, royal inheritance, and our royal identities. Right? Now that inheritance this year was worth $1 trillion. Right? So Charlie Boy and them, Sachs Coburg Gopher, they are sharing in this $1 trillion inheritance. It's not theirs. Right? Between how many people? A handful? That's just him and his family. Right? Him and that consort, fake consort. Right? So you could list you could probably on your hands and toes, you could list them all. That's who's receiving this inheritance that belongs to us. So that was $1 trillion this year. Last year it was 900,000. 900 million last year. This year it increased, so next year it's going to be even bigger. Right? So, and here it is here, right? So here's how Parliament's supposed to work. Those seats in Parliament are not for the politicians. They got it all wrong. Right? Those seats in Parliament are for the children of the noble ancestry. That's who those seats are for. And it's all there in these imperial acts. And it points it out plainly. Right? And this is the way we get to take back our Parliament, we the people. Right? When we the children are sitting in our seats. Currently, the politicians are sitting in them. Right? And that there is incorrect application of how Parliament's supposed to conduct itself. Those are our seats.
Yes, I have.
Waiting. Yeah.
I have the there's a Prehistoric Annals of Scotland, 1858 publication, and yeah, it gives it's totally congruent with everything you've been saying. And I've recently seen something on TikTok where a so-called black man has traced his lineage back to the exact bloodlines of you that you were mentioning, and he's in the act of going before Parliament and reclaiming those seats.
Yes, that's King Lancelot.
Yes,
And that's on houseoflancelot.org.
I remember. Yeah, when you mentioned that, I was like, all of this was congruent with everything that you said. It was exactly what I have literature, even back to 1703. M. Martin, the description of the Western Isles of Scotland, where YT people showed up and they described the indigenous inhabitants of that land, and it said specifically they were very dark brown, some of black complexion. They spoke the Irish language and wore the plaid.
Yes. Well, that's from Scotia, the daughter of Pharaoh Akhenaten and Empress Nefertiti. It's their daughter, Scotia or Scotia.
Yeah,
as
when
they
you
would
mentioned
say it
that,
over there.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Scotia went to the UK, right?
Yes,
That's how
sir.
they got there. That's how you get the Scottish, the Irish that were there from her. And her brother, Tutankhamun, went to America or Mercia. So Septimus Severus was the first king of Wessex Mercia, and that's where he's saying that's where that term America comes from, Mercia.
See, that interpretation I haven't heard yet, but it does. I know I have some literature that makes reference to that. I'm just glad that it. Are you? Do you have this literature?
It's on House of Org.
Oh, it's still it's on that literal website.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, geez. Here, type that out one more time so that I can make note of it and put it in my logs, please.
Yeah. Yep. It's House. Yep. House. I'm typing it out now.
Sure.
House of Lancelot.org.
I love you, Waka. You're a good man. I love your knowledge.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. So much.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're on that frequency vibration, right? And it comes to you.
Yes,
and
sir.
You just go flick something, and next minute you hear it, and you go, "Oh, I'm resonating with that." And you know, and then when I said, because I got up onto the panel and I said, "Oh, I'm from New Zealand," and then he brought up all this information about. He goes, "Yeah, well, you're still in the House of Windsor, right?" And I went, "Oh, well, I've got all these English names I can supply." And he goes, "Have you got an indigenous name?" Right, because it'll go back to Africa. Don't worry, it'll go back to the House of Pharaoh. He goes, I encourage you to submit those names first. Don't worry about the English ones. Submit your indigenous ones first. And I went, oh, really?
When you said that, I was rather surprised.
Yeah. And I was going, nah, there'll be no hits. And then he said, well, actually, this is indigenous right, genealogy. Right? And it will hit. So I did my 4-name search through House of Lancelot. And that's why I was like, wow. When it came back, so you get a certificate with it too, that you've completed the name search. And then you do, then all you're doing now, you've got your names back from that name search. And then now all you're doing is now linking those names back to any of those houses in the House of Windsor.
Very interesting.
So he's doing a a public petition declaration of the royal status. So not hiding anything. Very transparent, because he was saying himself, he goes, well, I'm not doing it privately. Why hide? Because they're not hiding.
Yeah.
So I'm not hiding. And I've got more claim to it. And more of our people that do this, they got the claim as well. And go, we've got more claim to it than Charlie Boy and his family.
I love how you say Charlie Boy.
Yeah. Well, he ain't my king.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I love it.
I've always called him Charlie Boy. Even when his mother was alive. No. Well, I was calling her Lizzie the Lizard.
I wish I could I wish Vibes was there. Vibes, you there? Because I have pictures from the National Portrait Gallery of UK where that shows King James, a portrait
Melanated
of
king.
What's that?
He was a melanated king.
Exactly. And I've shown people that, and they disagree. I'm like, look, I'm not making something up here. I'm like, this comes from. You can go to the website, National Portrait Gallery of London, and it's there. And then they bring up other renditions of the king, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, see, he's white. And I'm like, no. There's two versions, obviously, both posted by the National Portrait Gallery of London. So now you have a choice. Now, it didn't say one's more or less. It just says there's two of them there on that website. So now you have a choice. So you can actually make a conscious choice who you want to be the rightful king. And still, this is so strange, Waka, that a lot of the self-ascribed descendants of slaves that are here in the United States, they will opt for the YT king. And I'm like, how can you be Afrocentric and not side with your own Afrocentricity?
Yeah, we're it's like we've made it easier to deny our own, and then but we will accept the foreigner.
Yeah,
it
makes no sense to me, bro. I'm like, look, if you are such an Afrocentrist, why wouldn't the entire Europe have been? I can prove it through archaeological finds, church renditions. I mean, there's so much sculpture, or literature that substantiates the fact that that entire continent was inhabited by so-called black people.
They were ruled over by 700-800 years.
Yeah,
in Europe.
There's that missing part of history that I'm so interested in, because it was like, we're talking 300 AD to about 900 AD, where it's very difficult to find the historical accounts of that era, and they call it the Dark Ages. And then when I've heard other historians put it together, they call it the Dark Ages because it was literally dark people. And I'm like, makes sense to me.
The melanated ages.
Yeah, and the people who were
doing the Nubian kings and queens.
Yeah, the people who were doing the invading, from what I've gathered now, they had no written or oral linguistic systems of their own. So this is part of why that whole area of time is missing from the historical accounts, because they didn't have a system of their own. So they've kind of hidden that entire.
Whitewashed it.
Exactly. I mean, they've literally gone over murals in churches and literally painted over the previous murals that are now YT.
Yep. They because even so King Lancelot, he provides the certification where they gave themselves the certification to change the portraits from melanated to white. Right? That's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have some pieces posted on my channel that shows that the whitewashing was so sloppy that they forgot to whitewash one of the hands of one of the mistresses. So she's all white, but one of her hands is black. And I'm like,
oh, it's got a black knife on.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, man. If you're gonna do it right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, these guys, I mean, they're so sloppy with everything. And it's impossible to cover at this point. I mean, it's impossible to cover up. The so-called black people have the richest, deepest history on the planet.
Absolutely. You know,
I
they
just
had to whitewash it.
I find it funny that me, as an indigenous to this land over here, that I'm having to argue this obvious recorded history to people of, quote, black skin. Like I know their history better than they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet they will fight tooth and nail to defend it.
They don't want to accept it. It's so fucking weird, Waka.
Yeah, because they're happy to be wrong and correct. They're happy to live with their lives.
As slaves, man. It's so strange. I'm like, like literally the deepest, richest history in the world. And they're like, no, we're all slaves, man. We're all slaves. I'm like, how can you even say that? I've even had one of them.
Noble. We're the original nobility.
One of them even one of them, I swear to you, Waka, he said this verbatim. He's like, man, you can go on with all those old books, man. Those old books ain't real. And I'm like, those old books ain't real. I was like, how do you research? Like that's the whole point of research. Old books, not the new renditions, like, but he was absolutely 100% serious when he accused me of not having verified literature. I'm like, I have no dog in the fight. I'm not even black. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I have to gain from putting forth this knowledge? Nothing.
Yeah, it's because it's the truth, right? We've been basically assimilated out of our royal inheritance by a bunch of imposters
with de facto governments.
Yeah. And so, when you look at it like that, you go, well, when we choose to be, a Slavic, unfortunately, when we choose that, right, we deserve to be ruled over. When we turn away from our true identity, royal, noble identity, we deserve to be ruled over.
Yeah, it's depressing, man, because I'm like, if a person's not willing to go verify for themselves, I mean, if I had the ability to go big screen right now, I'd be going through caches of jewelry, of Russian depictions of the real small hats, it's just it's so much that I've just had to store it over so many years, and I'm like, how a person could argue their position and think that these YT people who are literally, by their own accounts, they say that they changed to YT people 10,000 years ago. I'm like, okay, so if we can go, to historical depictions that are dating to 700 AD, that's at least a couple thousand years. How could they have come up 8,000 years prior and been so remarkably, I don't know, what do you call it? Financially, or I don't even know what to call it, but how could they have taken on and usurped the entire planet's cultural identities in that short amount of time? It's like they couldn't, not even by their own accounts.
Yep, they were. That's why they did this population quelling.
That was a nice way of putting
it. Yeah, and then they can control the narrative.
But then it becomes part of, it's not even control the narrative. It's like a person's belief system that's determining that control now. I mean, they literally get us to fight for them, and they don't have to do any work. It's just so aggravating.
It's unreal. Yeah, they send us to go and unalive innocent people, and we're innocent people going to alive innocent people that we've never ever met before, and we don't have beef with. They sit back and watch.
That's exactly what, on my profile picture, people are like, why do you see that as a point of pride that you were in the Marine Corps? I'm like, who said it was a point of pride? Like I see it as a point of shame. I'm indigenous, you know, how I could have so willingly given my life over to the United States Marine Corps without having any idea of its historical reference. I mean, I didn't even know that Marines comes from the term Maureen.
Yeah, look at that, eh? Usurped these titles and turned them into something else.
That's why it's called the Marine Corps, because it's a dead entity.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, unreal, eh?
But imagine trying to tell your Marine buddies that the Marine Corps came from the Moors. They're like, no, shut up, man. Come on out. You're fucking stupid. I'm like, no, man, go look at it. That's history.
Yeah, go and check it out for yourself. Right, and now if I'm right, if I've been proved to be right after you've gone to your research and you called me dishonest, right, I think there should be a monetary value.
Yeah.
Compensation.
Yeah.
Right? A dishonest one.
See, I'm interested in you know, what I just want people to become aware of it. At some point, there's got to be a tipping in the scale to where people start to believe in it, and then also we start taking. There's going to be a point of contention. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but eventually we have to do our work now so that future generations can at least become aware of this and start moving in another direction.
Well, that's why I'm sharing about the House of Lancelot. Just do your name research, your name search on that. You know, put 4 names forward. Hey, it's $9.99. Well, under $10, maybe $20 for me down here, and I pay $20 for that.
Yeah.
So I did that. I completed that a month ago. So I know that I trace into the House of Windsor. I'm a child, right, of that nobility, right? And this is where it begins. We are the 99%, right?
Yeah.
We only need 51% majority.
Yeah.
It's a public petition, right? And then we can claim our sovereign inheritance, which they're collecting. Like I was saying, it was $1 trillion this year.
Yeah.
Next year it's going up. Right. It's just going to keep going up, and those imposters are going to keep collecting it, and it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. Right. And now we get an inheritance, so we claim our title, we get our inheritance, and we get our seats in Parliament. And that's how we take the system back.
It's just so, I mean, like, we have the same de facto government that's an extension. I mean, people don't even understand through the secret act of Verona that the United States is still a colony of England.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, like, trying to tell people, I'm like, look, the Act of 1871 was the legislation that began the commodification of all people here in the U.S. as commodities and ownership of England. So, like, after that act went into effect, then we start coming into 1913. Okay, so 1871. Then that was the same year that the Triple K Act went into effect, where they said they abolished the Triple K, but that's bullshit. You know, they just went into office. So
they went underground.
Exactly, they went into literally. They went from wearing pointy hoods and gowns to gowns and gavels. You know, but but people don't understand that that was the exact same year. So then we come into 1913, where the creation of the Federal Reserve Act went into effect, and so then we have 1933, where HJR 192 went into effect.
192, yeah.
Yep, where they
recalled the gold back to the Treasury.
Exactly. So they
disconnected. They called in the loan.
Exactly. So you're very aware of this. So I'm like, okay, so now we have
yeah.
1933, but right before that, the Birth Certificate Act went into effect 1928. Yeah. These are bonds connected to our SSN numbers. You know what I'm saying? Social Security. So we're literally commodified, attached to bonds that are traded on Wall Street for property that now they have an incentive to unalive us, which is why I think that 1933, that was the same year that the United States Cancer Foundation was found. So they have incentive to give us cancers, which is where this whole COVID thing went into effect. They keep releasing it because those bonds mature when we unalive. So they actually get to collect on the maturity of those bonds, which I've personally looked on Fidelity's website, and I saw like $2 million associated with my SSN number attached to some weird steel factory. $2 million. I was like,
Do you see people that are actually they're actually claiming that stuff?
I've actually got into contact with some people who are in the process of trying to do so. You know, with the writing off and the credit lines that are attached to each person's SSN numbers or EIN numbers, and as of right now, one of them he's in prison. They took him to prison because of it.
Well, not okay. So these are some guys on here, and I came from their live to this live.
Oh, really?
That are doing exactly what, but they're not in prison because they're not a citizen of the US. They're a state national.
So they reclaim
they're an American national, not a US citizen. That's why your friend is in jail.
His name was Winston Shrout, and he was very.
Oh, I remember Winston Shrout. He was the co-author of the Redemption Manual with Christ in the Cloud.
Okay, so that's why I mentioned it, because I thought he was one of the forefront runners of the.
He's still there.
So yeah, he's in prison. He's in prison, and he actually got COVID in prison, which is kind of very suspect. But yeah, he's still in prison to this day for falsifying bonds of treasury and stuff like that. But so you can see, I met him in person. A friend of mine paid him to come out to his house so that we could all get some coaching on reclaiming our natural
man.
Yeah, but so if that guy who is very extremely aware of it can get put into prison, I'm kind of worried about those who are trying to follow in the footsteps.
So he didn't. He messed up in the process, right?
Well,
That's why they locked him up.
Yeah, he did and he didn't. They created a means of falsifying of information so that they could have the rights to imprison him.
Yep. Yes, they set him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what they'll do to anybody.
Nowhere did I see that he claimed to as an American national. I didn't see any of it.
Yeah. So as a result of some of the information that I acquired from Winston, I actually began fighting. I quit paying my mortgage, and I was like, "What?" I told myself at one point, if a revolution is going to happen, you got to make it happen yourself, Leroy. So what are the first thing I would stop doing? I was like, stop paying my mortgage, stop paying those type of contracts. And I did. And at one point, my back was against the wall where I actually began going down to the county courthouse, the law library. And I began studying statutes and codes and defending my property, which I was successful for about 10 years. I didn't pay mortgage on my $500,000 property, a condo downtown Portland. I was up against Morgan Stanley, Wilmington Finance, basically all like the major big banks, and I kept them at bay for 10 years. They did not know what to do.
Did you tender a promissory note of any sort?
Well, what I did is I called out what the loophole that they'd separated the deed from the promissory note, which is illegal. So they were funneling these deeds, expediting the process that would allow them to bypass the legalities surrounding the promissory and the deed. They can never be separated in a form of contract. So knowing this, there was also, it was like $3.8 billion that was allocated to Oregon for homeless people. And what I was trying to do was attach those who are in foreclosure to people of homelessness, because by legal terms, they are literally homeless. Yeah. So I called out the misallocations of the 3.8 billion, and then they got in touch with the local sheriff who illegally evicted me from my property. It completely threw away my whole life. All my belongings were thrown into dumpster bins, and I found out that sheriff was going around quiet titling homes after he was evicting people from them. So he got 5 homes in the process of evicting people illegally. So I went through a whole case.
That was his cut.
Yeah. So I went through a whole case. My entire case is the state case is online and the federal case is still pending, but anybody who's interested. So when I went through the court, I knew that I wasn't just doing this for myself. I was simultaneously helping somebody in the future defend themselves against the banks and for their property. So anybody in the United States can use my court case, just remove my name and my state and put in their state. They can request my entire case in chronological order so that they know the exact procedures to implement at what specific time. So my case is online now for that purpose, but they eventually did get me illegally evicted.
All right, so next time I'm on that live with these blokes, because yeah, I'll invite you because
Please do.
Sharp.
Yeah. I had to. I mean, I had to become my own lawyer. Basically, I went to a real estate lawyer, and because we went to the county recorder's office to file our quiet titles, and they wouldn't do it, even though they're legally obligated to do so. We showed them on their own website that they were legally obligated to do so. So I went to a real estate agent with three of my friends. One of them was a gunnery sergeant for the Marine Corps, and we were explaining this to him, and he had never heard of a quiet title. So he went back, researched it for himself for about an hour, came back out, and he was like, "You guys are right." I was like, "How can you be a real estate lawyer and not know about a quiet title?" And so I was like, "So you'll file it for us, right?" He's like, "Oh, no, I can't do that." And we were like, "Okay." So that basically told us that anyone associated with the bar to practice law, they're in cahoots with the local governments.
Yes. They don't want to get struck.
Exactly, because they get paid by that bar.
Yeah. Bar black sheep. I mean, the bar, they're sheep.
You know, my brother, you know.
Yeah. And it's that kind of stuff there puts you off, eh? Right. And you think, like, you go, wow, what did something in my process here. Right? But a lot of the times it's those people, they don't know themselves, and when they go and find out, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared to act, when they're supposed to be doing a performance for you. They're meant to be performing a duty.
Yeah, they're servants. But under the de facto government of 1871, now all allegiance is to the for-profit corporation governed by the Queen or England. That's what people don't understand. Like when you hear the term president, a president is
running business.
Yes, therefore means of commerce.
For royal.
Exactly. So I tell people, I'm like, why would you praise or vote for a corporate president who's there for the interest of stockholders? To begin any LLC, it requires three positions: the president, vice president, and secretary of treasury, which is exactly what the de facto government of the United States is. So people they don't make the correlation that when you're voting for them, you're voting for a corporate president, not anybody with your interest at hand.
Yeah, it's not a living being.
They're so indoctrinated. Yeah, it's a corporation just like any other for-profit corporation, and everyone hates for-profits. Yet they go out and vote for it every day. I mean, when they sign a voter's ballot, anything that you sign is governed by Uniform Commercial Code, which means it's an exchange of commerce. So when you sign a ballot, exactly, it becomes a security. When you sign a ballot to vote, you are an instrument of exchange.
Yeah, negotiable.
They don't even know that the recent ballot is actually in the small print. It determines that you are now you are signing up for the upcoming draft. So any person over 18 years of age that votes voluntarily assigns themselves open to the draft of up and coming WARs.
Yes. Absolute conscription.
All means of hidden linguistics and spell casting.
Yeah. Well, once you figure it out, you work it out, you go, I'm not a child of this government or the state. I'm not a ward of the state. I'm a child of God or the Supreme Creator, whoever that is for you.
Yeah, just having all
This
the
is why
phones.
we need to claim our royal status as a child of the ancestral nobility.
But we're so involved in infighting, trying to determine who's first original. I'm like, Jesus, don't we have a common enemy? I mean, why are we fighting against each other when we should be uniting and claiming our royal inheritance?
Exactly. So it's like, well, who's going to stand, right? After when you share this information, will you stand? Will you put your hand up and be one? Assume, now, not assume, but actually claim and declare publicly your royal title, identity. It's your authority.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, this is our authority right here. We have the authority to do this. Especially when the first line of that Supremacy Act is, you ought to. I went, wow. When I just saw those 3 lines, you ought to. I went, wow, that compels me. And this is the Supremacy Act, right? So it's saying, hey, I ought to act in a supreme manner and claim my royal status. That's what it told me. And that was only on the first line. First 3 words, you ought to. Wow.
People don't understand, like even on the note for my mortgage, they don't understand that a mortgage is a compound word that is comprised of 2 Latin terms: muerte, which is debt, unalived, and pledge, which is gage. So it's an unalived pledge, which means it has no significance. So when you read any type of promissory note, especially associated with mortgages, it says, I so and so pledge, or it's actually, what's it say? I have received so and so from a loan. I so and so received this amount of money for a loan that I have received. They don't understand that it's in past tense. So a contract is between 2 people. But when you sign for a mortgage, you're at a table and it's just you. No one is across from you signing anything, but there's supposed to be 2 parties. They don't understand that you're literally 2 parties at the same time, and you're giving the government or the bank system access to your credit line, which is what took over as fiat after the HJR 192 of 1933. So that's like, they think that money is based on faith. I'm like, no, it's literally based on your life.
Yeah. And we put the value in there.
Yeah. But trying to convince, I have gathered all of this literature and can substantiate every single thing that I'm saying. But when I talk to people about it, they look at me like I'm some goofball, like I'm some conspiracy nut. And I'm like, how can you do that? Here it is. Here's all the information right there. No, you're crazy, man. You're just talking nonsense. I'm like, okay.
I will prove it. Prove that I'm talking nonsense then. Right. First, how do you do that? You read this material, do your due diligence. Don't be a robot. You got to turn on your critical thinking brain.
Yeah, no one's been able to debunk me yet.
And they won't ever. Because we are not an entity of print on paper. We're not that entity. We're living beings. And they haven't learned how to separate themselves from that paper, but to their living being. And it's not hard. As soon as something's committed in writing to paper, that's legal. Right? Yeah. And now, I've done it to the coppers even, when they've said, license, blah, 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 ID. Yeah. Right, so I give it to them. Yeah, that's what you're after? Right, and then they go, is this your license? You notice how they say that after you've given it to them?
Yeah.
Okay, is this your license? And I just go, this is what I say, no. He says, no, that's not my license. Right?
Yeah.
Right? and they're going, and then they'll say something like, "Well, giving false information is a criminal offence," right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said exactly, because if you want me to say yes, that's lying, right? And that's on you, not me. Mm?
Yeah.
And I said, because at the end of the day, that's not my property. It's your property. It didn't come out of my printer. It came out of yours.
Fact.
Yeah, that's not my property. That belongs to you. You are the principal owner. And as far as I know, the principal owner is responsible for their property.
Yeah.
So that's you.
So backwards.
And they got nothing, mate. You know, they go, oh, okay, so then they'll look at the card and go, but isn't that your picture? So they're creating the joinder, right? Right, and I look at Dan and I go, well, if you claim that that's me, the burden is on you to prove it,
Yeah.
right? And they go, but hang on, it looks like you. I went, yeah, I know, it does, right? But it's not me, right? And they go, well, how can it not be you? And I go, well, you try talking to that. Why are you talking to me? You should be talking to their card if you think that's me.
Yeah, I don't answer any questions. I'm sorry, I don't ask the questions.
Well, I can't be in two places at once.
Yeah. And if I have the right, if everything can be used against me in a court of law, then why would I give you any evidence?
Well, if you're claiming that I can be in two places at once, you're telling me I'm their card, but I'm actually sitting here talking to you, right? Well, I think you need a psych evaluation. Well, you trying to claim now that I can be in two places at once? I'm now a plastic card, and I'm in a living body. Which one is it?
Well, see, nowadays,
that sounds like mental health to me.
Yeah, you know, they passed that law recently in the U.S. here, where they can actually pull me over and kidnap me just by looks alone. So that they can racial profile now. And I've actually had a Marine buddy who was detained and taken to the border for 7 days without his family even knowing, until they verified that he was an actual a United States Marine. I'm just like,
some heads would have rolled from that. That's a lawsuit.
Well,
that's a big lawsuit.
See, right now it's not a lawsuit because people don't understand that we're under a national security emergency, so that it changes the law. It suspends the Constitution, and now we're
Emergency
under.
Act.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if people would actually, they don't understand that we have the reason that there's rights is to exercise them, and if you don't exercise them, then you relieve yourself of them. So
that's a declaration of war.
Absolutely.
That Emergency Act.
Yeah, and that was all under the Patriot Act. After the whole 9/11 thing.
And isn't it interesting? People aren't getting that, but it's the declaration of war, and now it's under the what? The law of nations, war doctrine.
Yep.
And now you're either a peaceful inhabitant or you are a belligerent.
Yep, a security breach threat.
So you either so you can either claim, oh no, I'm a peaceful inhabitant, and then they have to supply your needs because there's a war on. Right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
In theory, yes.
Yeah. This is how it's supposed to go. It's the law doctrine. It's the war doctrine. Because that's who they're fighting for, isn't it? The peaceful inhabitants.
Yes,
Yeah. And so now you're entitled to the usufruct. And that's why they have to perform that duty to protect you, because that's why they're fighting. That's why the war's on. Right? Because they're enemy of the state trading with the enemy. That's who they're after. All those people using fiat currency, trading with the enemy. Enemies of the state, colonial script. Isn't it interesting? Yeah, the people haven't made that connection. Every time you use that dollar, you're trading with the enemy. You're an enemy combatant.
I use that as a point of contention. I'm like, look, if you're so aware of everything that's going on, can you please define to me what that dollar is in your pocket? And not a single person I've ever asked had the ability to accurately define. I'm like, they're like, what's a dollar? I'm like, no, it's not even a dollar. Dollars haven't been in existence since HGR 192. So if you're so aware and you're so involved, how can you not know about the thing that you deal with every single day of your life since basically birth?
Well, what's the definition of a note? No, that's the next one. You just tell them that too. What's
Yeah.
the definition of a note?
It's a promise.
Isn't it evidence of a debt?
Yeah, it's a promise to pay. It's a promissory note.
Yeah. But it's also the definition of a note is evidence of a debt.
Correct.
So that's not credit money.
Yeah.
So every time you use it, you're increasing the national debt.
And every child born today is automatically $68,000 in debt.
Yeah. Yep. And this is this is the stage show they've set up. It's all an act, and here we are performing. There's some bad actors.
Very bad, like a soap opera.
For me. Right. But everybody's learnt their lines well. Right? You must be out of your head. You got to be crazy. You're one of those conspiracy theorists. Right? They've learnt all of their script well.
Yeah, like we're the conspiracy theorists. I'm like, no, you're the one involved in it. You're the one perpetuating it.
Yep. It's in fact a weapon. You're actually giving them weapons to weaponize against you. You're loading their weapons. You're giving them free ammunition to use on back to you. It's time to wake up.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, even like the whole employment thing. I mean, when they changed from slave to employment, that was a really interesting use of linguistics. But I'm like, we birth 3 million babies a year here.
Wow.
You can't possibly believe that you can create that many jobs to keep up with our population explosions. It's like at some point we're just going to have to give up the whole theory of employment and earning a living. It's like we're headed in the direction, with the whole robotics era coming here. We're a service-based economy now here in the US. We used to create stuff, but now we're basically service-based, and with the robotics era coming into play, we're automatically deemed null and void. I mean, there's going to be no use for us, and all we're seeing is a weight on their profit margins. So you got to think, if these atrocities have been committed against our people across the planet, and no one is,
you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, I'm like, can you name a single person who was held accountable for these atrocities? And no one can. What would keep them from continuing those atrocious practices? Nothing.
Nothing. Especially when the non-humans come, and it's almost here, and they're going to be linked to a cryptocurrency on the blockchain. If you're smart to be able to get into taking advantage of that, you'd buy you those self-driving cars, right?
Yeah.
And you let those robots run your Uber, your DoorDash business for you. Well, you're sitting in your house, man, right? Yeah, and they're going out and doing all of that for you. Would it be a chauffeur service? Right, you just need those cars, those self-driving ones, and your robots operating it, and you're getting paid. That's the way to take advantage of that.
My mother was just recently in Austin, Texas, and she was blown away because they called for a cab, and a Tesla pulled up, and there was nobody in it. And she's like, I ain't getting in that car. she was like, what the hell's going on? And then she noticed that all of these cars were driving around, because that's one of the beta testing cities that they're performing these new mobilization or whatever, or remote. And she was just like blown away. All of these cars had no drivers, but people were riding around them. And I was like, well, that's a service-based economy being taken over, and we're happy we're excited for it. And I'm like, how can you be excited by your replacement?
Well, there's a way you can take advantage of it. But do you know that lady? Do you know the lady's got, and this one lady, she's got the most Bitcoin in the world in her account. Do you know that lady?
No.
She's a YT lady. I tuned into one of her podcasts like 2 months ago, and then she was going through the top 10 businesses to invest in, right? And that robotics was number 4 on the list. Right? And she goes, like, I'm a professional, I'm a professional businesswoman. She holds the most Bitcoin as an individual in the world. It's worth billions. And she's giving her advice what to invest in. Right? And it started with number 1, Elon Musk. I went, oh, here we go. Right?
Yeah.
And then she laid it out. Well, he's setting up the system. Right? He's got the multimedia system set up. He's got the Wi-Fi connection set up. And he's got his blockchain and his coin. And she goes, and when he releases his robots, that's employment. Right? So he goes, oh, if I was people, I'd start gearing up to buy them those Model 3s. Right?
Yeah.
The self-drivings, and then when the robots come into play, and then buy you a few of those robots, get you whatever contract, whatever that looks like, and let them be your taxi service, right? So they drop you off at your normal place of business, and while you're at your place of business making money, they're out there doing that service, making you extra money on top. So he goes, just buy 3 cars, 3 robots. One's doing DoorDash, one's doing Uber, right? One's doing the chauffeur service, right? But at the end of the day, one of them's going to come and pick you up at the end of the day and take you home. And all of that, and she goes, now you've created 3 income streams, right, beside your own, every day. And it's all getting paid straight to your blockchain, straight to your crypto wallet. I went, wow. So, right, I've got to start setting up for that. And I'm here in New Zealand. We're not even up to driverless anything yet.
Yeah.
But that's just one way you can take advantage of it. CRISPR is another one. That's another company to invest in. Because they're about therapeutics, CRISPR Therapeutics.
Yeah, gene engineering.
Yeah, gene editing, gene splicing. She went through all of that. She goes, this is in the future, guys. So at the minute, they've got the transfusion people, 1 treatment, and that's it for the rest of their life. They'll need no other blood transfusion again. Like, wow. She goes, just imagine what else that would get into down the track. 1 treatment and rid yourself of whatever. Like, wow, look at that. Wow.
It's funny because I just made some posts on the promises of the Human Genome Project that were back in 2000 when Bill Clinton went live on national TV or global TV, and he was making all these promises. That's back in 2000. And 2025, a woman, there's this little video on YouTube that I cut and spliced it, but they were like all the assumptions that they had made and promises that they had made back then, none of them have come true. That they know nothing more about the human genome than they did at the beginning, but they were giving all kinds of word salads to try to cover the fact that it was basically a fruitless endeavor. And I'm like, okay, so we paid $2.7 billion for that as taxpayers, and then we pay for these ancestry tests, another $200-300 a piece for the companies that we had built off of $2.7 billion that they took from us. I was like, where are we headed here? Like, if everyone is looking to invest and they have these companies that are, at some point, it's just it's all bullshit. Basically, the entire genetics is eugenics. I mean, I just don't see it going anywhere. Well, for us, I have no children myself. Do you have children, by the way, Waka?
Oh, absolutely.
How many kids you got, man?
5.
5, really?
You're all adults.
May I ask your age?
I'm in the early 70s.
You what? You're 70?
No. I'm in the early 1970s.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa. I was like, you didn't look 70 to me. No, I'm 74 myself.
Oh, are you? You sound like you're younger. Like
yeah, I'm 51 years old.
Oh, okay, you're 51, bro. Okay, so that means you're either a 73 baby or no,
74, May 31st, 1974.
Oh, you're the same age as my brother.
Are you older? Are you older than me, or?
Yeah.
Probably just by like a year or two, eh?
72.
Aha. See, I have no children. I don't know how I did it, but I made it 51, no children.
So you look at that. And here I am there, right? So I ain't young.
Yeah, what we're leaving to these kids, man. I mean, I just don't know where it's headed. I mean, the sad thing is I do know where it's headed, but I just don't want to. The more I make people aware of it, the more they tend to think I'm an asshole.
Yeah, well, we don't want. I mean, our children, they deserve better, not the same. It's irresponsible of us to allow them to inherit this life when they deserve better.
Yeah, at the very least, different, man.
Yeah. We don't want the same. Yeah, we definitely want something different, and that different I'm talking about is a better different. Otherwise, you get the same different.
Yeah, I'm just like, if they're not made aware of these applications of what I mean, they're just social engineering applications, basically. It's like we're just so preoccupied with surviving, trying to make a living, all this type of stuff that they're hardly interested in the foundational applications that have led to the amounts of poverty and disparity, like between those who have and those who have not.
Definitely, the spell has worked. See, this spell they've casted over across this whole earth is working. That's why they don't want to change it.
Yeah, the sad thing is that all of these, basically, I attribute it to a massive linguistics, but all of these applications of communication and commodification they're actually spells that were given by plants. Just their indigenous practices, just used against us, rather because they came from us. I mean, we were the first peoples to develop languages and means of commerce and exchange and stuff. Not in the contemporary version, but the philosophies came from us, and now they're just social engineering platforms that are so difficult to convince people that.
Yeah, you can see the conditioning and the grooming is very well done. It's a magnificent deception.
Are you guys required for compulsory education over there as well?
No, you can homeschool.
All right.
Yeah, we homeschool. I homeschooled my children. I didn't. We're products of the public system, right? And I knew, and no. I don't want my children to be part of that. That's indoctrination.
Wow, you were a step ahead, bro.
Oh. It was in my head and my heart, eh?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you were wise enough to do so.
And I always thought about like I didn't want a stranger, right, imparting their values and principles on my child, on my babies. And I thought that was irresponsible of me to do that.
Well played.
And so that's what it compelled me to go, yeah, no, we're operating outside of the triangle. And that's how I operated, outside of the triangle.
Do most
Outside of
indigenous
that,
practice the same methods as you, homeschooling their children?
well, the stat, hey, it's always 1% or below.
Okay.
Yeah, so even that status quo is, it's alive and everything.
Yeah.
They're there, right? But when you look at the whole of it, it's less than 1%. So there's 5 million people in our population. So you can guarantee 1% of that is not doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are your children are any of them artists?
In their way they are,
Okay, that was a great answer.
but they're more athletic than anything else.
Gotcha.
But the artistry bits, they were definitely ambidextrous.
Yeah, artists. To me, art is more of a philosophy rather than, like an easel and a canvas.
For you, bro. As in, I never saw them draw any pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've been a glassblower for 25 years, and it took me about
Oh wow!
it took me about 15 of those years to figure out, like, the art is not the actual creation of the flowers. It's like that I blow. It's the thought process and the philosophy and application. So, like, I can still let go of creating glass and still be an artist.
Yeah, hard out because it's inside of you
Correct.
first. Yes. And even see how you do your medicinal plants for your own healing. What a beautiful.
Yeah,
You do the activated sage.
I do the active. What was that again?
Activated sage.
Do I burn sage? Is that what you're asking?
It's got a psilocybin property.
Oh yeah. I used to, when I was heavily in my practice at the beginning, it was always right at the beginning of my ritual evening. So every day was a practice, and every opening ritual began with the inhalation of sage and other plants as well, on top of ingesting psilocybin mushrooms. So yeah, I'm aware of its properties. It was a constant reminder.
Yeah. And what about the cactus?
San Pedro or mezcalito or peyote. I've done both.
Pete, I think I've only done the Pete, that one.
Yeah, I've done both. Well, I haven't done peyote actually, but I've done San Pedro. But as an indigenous, my ally plant is the one most accessible to my region and my surroundings, which is the psilocybin.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've only ever had positive and beautiful experiences.
Brothers.
Whoa, look who's back.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, my bad. I had to do something, but I left my phone charging. I'm gonna go eat with my
Thank
mom,
you for the time.
but I'm gonna end it now, and I'll come back in an hour.
Sounds
Sorry,
good,
bro.
family.
Oh, you're all good. Have a good
Yeah,
meal with your
I'll
mum.
have a recording of this too, so I can go back and listen. I know you guys
yes.
do some downloads down there.
Nice to talk to you again, Waka. I look forward to next time, brother.
Oh, yeah. Hey, peace and love and blessings, brothers. Thank you, Brother
Peace and
Vibes.
love.